We played Nora-Rengo so much that I don't think anything will surprise us. In saying that, I don't think they're going to do much preparation against us, so we're going to know how each other play. It's just going to be about winning gunfights. From our team, you can expect aggressive team plays and a lot of gun skill with that as well.
Good luck, Nora-Rengo. We've planned for you. そうですね、もちろん自信はあります。というのも練習時間っていうのがやはり普段のチームが変わることによって当然必要になってくる中で、自分たちがいつもより練習してきているので、僕たちはもういつもよりは確実に強いっていう自信があります。
そうですね、フナティックとは何度も対戦してますけど、毎回その違った作戦をフナティックはしてくるので、毎度その新しい作戦を対策するのもこちらは結構大変で驚いてます。
What an absolutely beautiful introduction. I have to say, all the teams look beautiful. That trophy looked fantastic. Matt shone like a beautiful star. There you go. He's die beste Stern in den Himmel. Fantastic, beautiful. It's wonderfully done for Milan. So, gentlemen, we're back here on the desk. I assume everybody's very comfortable in the way that they are.
Yeah, who are you and what have you done with Milos? I mean, I feel like you're giving me the evil eye right now. Too far? Too far?
I just want to throw it out there. You're wearing shoes that are 4 numbers too small for this. So
yes, so here's the thing. My shoe size is 46. This is 42. Now, big thanks to Deta Leader and Aspira. Because of them, this cosplay happened, and
it's incredible. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. Thank you very much. The cosplay as well. And Deta's feet are much smaller than mine. Just want to put that out there. With that said, gentlemen, match number 1, all APAC quarterfinal. Now, good thing to say about this, semifinal guaranteed APAC. That's completely fine. However, Nora-Rengo Fnatic, right now Fnatic are leading the series 4-2. Is this Nora-Rengo's time to actually move through just like they did in the semis in Invitational, or how will it go?
It's really beautifully tragic, the way that I see this. We've seen these teams, like they were saying in the intro videos, these teams know each other so very well. They know each other's play styles in and out, and they're also incredibly good friends. Every time I go to an APAC event, these two, they are so tight-knit. You know, they all go out for dinner afterwards, and they're best friends. And at the same time, they're all playing for this spot in the semifinals today, and only one's going to get through.
I mean, friends and all that is great, but when tournament starts, you really want to win, right?
Yep.
And it's going to be rough having to kick out a team that you see as friends, but you might as well get it over with in the start.
Yeah, and it's going to be, there's going to be at least a lot of respect between these two teams.
Yeah.
They know one another quite a bit, and here we go, the roster for Nora-Rengo, Yoshingo, Merieux, Reisel, Papilya, and Ramu. So we've had a change, well, 2 actually, ever since Invitational. I know, Waka's no longer here. It breaks everybody's heart, and it did break all of our hearts back when it happened. Waka definitely, for a lot of people, the MVP of the Invitational, brought a lot of spirit and a lot of energy and a lot of fantastic plays to the scene, but he's no longer here. Are the replacements as good or will hit the same level of play, James?
So that's the thing. If you look at Yoshingo, who's the newest player's recent results, he's performed very highly on his previous team, Sengoku Gaming. But at the same time, I think that the thing that Nora-Rengo needs the most that Waka provided was the energy levels. And previously it was Waka and Raisel together who would really hype up the team. You could, if you pan the camera onto them after they win a round, they're jumping up and down, they're doing the Nora-Rengo dance, you name it. And that's going to fall much more onto Raisel now.
And it's just really big shoes. I mean, he was probably one of the best players in APAC.
Or I would go so far as to say one of the top 10 in the world, top even 5, I reckon.
Yeah, I think at an Invitational, he broke many expectations, and Waka was definitely out there. It's unfortunate that we don't get to see him here. He's retired, he's still with the team, but mostly on a more content creation level. But we have to move on, I guess, from that tragic event. That said, Fnatic, Virtue has stepped in, and look, this guy is absolutely fantastic. The way that he played throughout the qualifiers, well, all the way leading up to this part of the season, but also at Invitational, even from his first match in the group stages, you're like, oh my. Fnatic are definitely a machine.
Yeah, in terms of roster, Fnatic has remained fairly similar for quite a long time. Virtue being the most recent active player to add it to the roster, and he was the top-rated player from the Siege GG aggregate rating at the Invitational.
Yep.
At the entire Invitational, you have players like Cantor, Aketi, and Joystick, and here it is Virtue who topped all of them.
And I mean, Season 9, APAC Finals, he was 27 plus, whereas I think the one that came the closest was 16.
Yeah.
So that's quite a leap.
That's just quite a bit because, I mean, they only played those 3 matches that they had, so...
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you're talking about fragging capabilities, both of these teams have a slew of potential. These guys have demonstrated that time and time again. Nora-Rengo are known for being insane fraggers, players like Ramu and Meriyu. And of course, Virtue on the Fnatic side, Rizraz as well. He said in the interview, we know how Nora-Rengo plays. They know how we play. This has come down to a frag fest.
Yeah, and really is. That's why they played so much. I mean, they played 6 times at this point. All of them pretty much on LAN events. They played in Australia a few times, actually most of the time. They played in Japan once. They played in Canada. These are teams that have a lot of friendly matches as well between them. Probably scrim together quite a bit when it's possible between the regions. So yes, it's not a surprise for us to see them here. But I guess it's time for a map veto. So you see that beautiful graphic that we have up on the board. I'm really glad that we've done away with a man-made thing and we've switched to LEDs, the future of broadcasting. So now we get to see the maps that have been picked, and Border is the first one that's picked by Nora-Rengo. Clubhouse will go the way of Fnatic, and I wonder which one we'll have as our deciders. We still have 3 left. We'll highlight that. Coastline removed from play. Well, it's Consulate.
Bank is a very good map for Nora-Rengo, so Fnatic banning that's very predictable. I'm surprised. It's a bit of a gamble, really, for Fnatic. You know, you kind of want to ban Bank straight up, but at the same time, I really think that, you know, Fnatic, they clearly knew that they needed to ban Oregon because Nora-Rengo are good on that, and I think Fnatic just didn't feel like they had the space to breathe on a map like Oregon, so they took the gamble, banned Oregon, left Bank in, and interestingly enough, Nora picked Border over Bank. So we're not going to see Bank.
And if we go back to Oregon, the last time we've seen Fnatic play there, they either played very, very freely, beat EG, or got stomped by G2.
And the way that they played to beat EG, you can't guarantee that working against any team.
Exactly.
It has
that was a one-off.
Exactly.
Yeah, they had Dizzle.
That.
Yeah, they had Dizzle in with them in Rio. Magnet unfortunately had some health issues.
It was EG lost the game for themselves.
Yeah, Fnatic basically just played into EG's mind, and that's how they were able to play them. A lot of people say it as, oh, but it's the ranked mindset, but it doesn't matter. It worked, and they played very well, and EG could not counter them. And that was really the big problem to look at it in that matchup in Rio. But ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to get this one rolling. It's game number 1 at the Season 9 Finals live from Milan, Italy. So, all APAC matchup, Fnatic versus Nora-Rengo. Casters, all up to you. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Milos. Welcome to Milan, and let's get the first game underway, a rematch from our very first matchup in the quarterfinals of the 6th Invitational. I'm Intero. This is Kickstarter, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Good to be for another season final. So a long time coming for this one for a lot of these teams, and a big opportunity for everyone now that one of the reigning champions, G2, aren't here. So pretty exciting.
And so much is on the line, not just a spot for APAC in the semifinals. We will once again see them in the semifinals. It started in Rio when both Fnatic and Nora-Rengo broke through. Then, of course, we saw Nora-Rengo in the semifinals of the Invitational, and now we're going to see it yet again. Good news for the APAC fans, but bad news for the fans of either Fnatic or Nora-Rengo. Have you heard the crowd here? It does sound like, despite being in Europe, Nora-Rengo is the crowd favorite heading into this matchup.
Yeah.
So for everybody here, it might get a little loud if they start doing quite well.
I mean, these are both 2 very loved teams, so it's not surprising to see a crowd start to shift towards one, and Nora being that one, also not surprising. We're going to go ahead and load straight into the match now. It'll be Border, and we'll be getting into as soon as that starts up. And Nora starting on attack, Fnatic will be on defense.
So, Border's an interesting matchup, and we'll start with the operator bans and see what goes down here. Nora-Rengo tends to be quite static as to what they ban. They tend to ban a lot of Nomad and a lot of Echo. In fact, if you go back and look at the way that they've played in the Japanese Pro League and then onward through the Invitational and then the LAN that just happened as well, where they fell to Fnatic 0-2, it was a Nomad and Echo ban fest for almost the entire thing. It's very interesting. Now, I like that the analyst desk touched on the changes to Capitao. I think that might make a huge impact on whether we see him played here or not, or whether the teams decide to remove him from action.
And Capitao is such a prominent force now, I think, in all of Pro League and all competitive Siege. And yeah, if you let him through, it can be problematic for you as a team, but there's also something to be said about using that sword better than your opponent. So we'll see what ends up happening when it ends up happening when we get to that ban phase. But until that moment, we'll just go ahead and speculate based on what we know.
Border seems to be a really popular map between these two teams. If you go back to what we just saw at the APAC Season 9 finals, in which Nora-Rengo and Fnatic qualified for this event, it was a 7-4 victory for Fnatic on Border. That was with a roster on Nora-Rengo that was without Waka. It had JJ on the team before Yoshingo stepped in. Now, as was noted as well by the analysts, and Dev being the resident APAC expert, he knows it better than anybody else. On Sengoku Gaming, probably the best player was Yoshingo.
Yeah.
And he comes in with some of the best stats in all of APAC. Now, as was noted, you're filling in the shoes for Waka, who was instrumental in making Nora-Rengo a well-loved team, but also a very formidable opponent. How is he going to be able to fit on in? Because he's only been on the team for a couple weeks. He hasn't played in an official match yet. They didn't have him for the APAC finals. What contributions can he make?
Right, that's the big question. I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about Yoshingo regarding his fragging power. People have been talking about him as being one of the more prominent fraggers out there, especially in APAC. But does he really have everything that it takes to actually, fit the right puzzle piece that Waka was? I mean, you can't just bring a good fragger in to replace another good fragger too. That's something important to note. Sometimes it takes time for a new player to acclimate to your team, and I think, given the way that we see the disposition of Nora-Rengo over the years, I think it's not going to be too much of a problem. I think he's going to find himself very comfortable there on that roster, but still, there is something to be said about how close to this finals that transition was.
And I mean, there was a transition that needed to be made. The team did seem to have quite a bit of reluctance to have JJ on that roster. They played a little bit of hot potato with him being on the team and then him being off the team and then him being back on the team, moving from sub to active player role time and time again. Maybe they found this missing piece, as you noted. Another thing, too, is that just because Waka's off the roster doesn't mean they need to find somebody who fills his shoes perfectly.
Right. If they move the roles around, there's a very strong possibility that they could make this work just as well, if not better, in a completely different configuration. But again, that's a conversation of adjusting your strategy, your formula as a team in such close proximity to a season finals. I mean, I had a little bit of time to make it work, so it's not the end of the world. But of course, it's what's going on. It's the conversation about this match. I mean, if you look far back at Fnatic versus Nora, they've met each other on LAN 6 total times. And Fnatic has won 4 of those 6, so that's 2 for Nora. But the majority of the important ones, Nora have won. I'd say majority. The one really important one, the global international event where they met each other, the only time was the 6 invitational quarters. And Nora took that pretty handily. First map went to Fnatic. Second map, though, or rather, first map went to Nora. Second map went to Nora in much more extreme fashion. That was a 2-0 victory there for them. And yeah, okay, that was in the Waka era, so it's a different timeline, of course. But at the same time, that's the most important match these teams have played against each other, and Nora managed to take it. That's something very important to take away. Another really important thing, the Season 8 finals results, which were similar for both teams. They didn't meet each other, but they both went to the semifinals and then got eliminated in a 2-0, one team by FaZe, the other by G2.
If you really take a step back and look at these results over these last 6 matchups that these teams have had, and now we will barrel in towards the 7th as we load into the game and Fnatic will ban first, is that these matches aren't really all that close, Michael. They're mostly all 2-0s. And even when they are 2-0s, you still tend to see that the matches are lopsided. I'm looking at scorelines here. 6-1 victory, 6-2 victory, 5-2, 5-1, 6-1, 6-3, 7-1. These are results from maps that they have en route to the Stomps where they're 2-0 results. So as much as we love to tout this as, oh, it's always so tight, what tends to happen is the team that runs away with map number 1 snowballs. And that's something that both of these teams are going to need to focus on. Unsurprising now as well that the 2 most banned operators for Nora-Rengo, both Nomad and Echo, are taken off of the board. A bit of a interesting choice on the Thatcher there from Fnatic, and Amira is pretty commonplace here. So we've got our 4 operator bans. Let's get things underway with map number 1 between Fnatic and Nora-Rengo.
I totally agree with what you were saying there about the how close these teams are, and that's what makes it really confusing sometimes, where you have such a similar kind of result for both of these teams. It's hit and miss, and I think a lot of it comes down to, like you said, the snowball, and that snowball effect usually emotion within the match itself. So a big question going into a lot of people's minds for this match is which team is going to let the match get ahead of them first. Now, as we go straight in, got our bans done. Monte not being there, huge ban there for Nora. I think the Nomad as well is going to be pretty. It wasn't Montaigne. It was Nomad, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Okay, that's weird. Well, the Thatcher and Nomad, both huge bans there for the attack. Not sure why Montaigne was up on the screen there for a second, but it's done now. And as we load on in, we'll have a first defense for Fnatic in Armory. So pretty standard fare here. Nothing too crazy going on.
So we've got some interesting things for you as well, just to note that you'll notice on the broadcast side of things, we have some pop-ins and pop-outs. When we have the LAN build available, you can see a variety of different views, and well, on the right side of your screen, you can gesture towards this persistent top-down view, which is really nice. It's something that is integral to understanding this game and exactly what goes on. It gives you a really good view of it, as well as this, too. If you want to keep track of what's going on with all of the different operators, you've got that available. So it's unsurprising to see that with the very first defense, it's going to be upstairs in the Armory and Archives bomb sites. Pretty commonplace. There are teams that will roll the die and go downstairs to workshop and ventilations, though it is very, very uncommon, I would say, and often ill-advised against teams that might be prepared for it.
No, well, what we've got here is, I think, a decent amount of preparedness on the side of Nora. They have brought 2 Hard Destructors, one in the form of that Maverick. Of course, you're going to need Maverick since Thatcher is not there for many of the different attacks that you're going to execute here on border, especially towards Armory. Ramu being very cautious on the Armory wall. But it looks like it's going to be actually an office take here from Nora. Seems like they want to clear out CCTV, establish that they've got their flank covered, and then start hitting from offices. It's a pretty smart strategy overall, and it might catch one free kill early on. Yes, indeed it will. There's the first kill here for Mariu. Beautiful game sense and teamwork. Somebody droned Mariu to get that kill. Gotta applaud that.
Lusty had only put down 2 of his shock wires as well, looking to actively bandit trick that Archives wall, and we see some teams take a kind of a bit of a preferential look at which site they want to go for. Now, keeping hold of anything inside of office is incredibly important. That's a bit of a missed C4 from Rizraz that will go out and allow the wall to open up too. Rizraz could get potentially aggressive here. He gets droned out though, so is any possible surprise that might be given away to his opponents has now vanished. He's gonna have to find some safe harbor, but there's got Mariu looking on in, and a second kill. Easy work for Nora-Rengo so far to take complete control of offices and march on in towards Archives now.
Yeah, this hold by offices has worked against Fnatic so strongly, and Nora's just going to waltz on in now that they know they have full control. This nade could go terribly wrong, but it won't, but at the same time, not get the Evil Eye. Great play there from Virtue on top of the shelf to get the first kill for his team, and he gets a second. Magnet there also contributing. Now Fnatic have brought themselves into the lead.
It's just a bit of sloppiness from Nora-Rengo. I don't know if they were a bit too preoccupied trying to figure out exactly what they wanted to do, but that Evil Eye being up will provide so much information for the rest of Fnatic, who, as you said, took that lead, but Ramu's gonna go for broke. He'll be last one left, shut down by Aces as Magnet collects another kill. And despite a bad start, Fnatic will take the very first round here in Milan and put themselves up on Nora-Rengo's map by 1.
All right, so that was an interesting round. It seemed like for the majority of that round, we had Nora in control. I'd say that, first 2 picks, everything's looking good. They have control of offices. It's easy to turn that into Archives control. But unfortunately, it just didn't turn out that way. Virtue with an excellent play on top of the shelf follows that up with a second frag inside of Fountain. We didn't see where the C4 from Magnet got the kill. You could guess from below in all likelihood. Lots of information, as you said, from, for example, that Evil Eye. And it wasn't destroyed by the grenade. Don't know what happened there. Must have just been slightly off on the grenade placement.
It might have blown up a little too early.
Yeah, could have happened on the other side of the pillar maybe. A little too late, a little too early, a little too late. Whatever it was, unfortunate for Nora, and it did work out heavily against them.
I mean, also, though, that Evil Eye being up wasn't necessarily why that swing happened back in their favor. A lot of it was piggybacked off of Virtue's play and then Magnet as well. There's Valkyrie cameras in play additionally, so there might be multiple different instances of information that could possibly be being given to the rest of Fnatic.
Right.
So it's all speculation on our part, but they were able to react effectively. And you could see that they kept one body from Fnatic inside of Armory, the rest refocused on that Archives wall. And there wasn't really much follow-through. You had a Maverick on the board, you had a Thermite on the board, you know you need to take out that Archives wall. Wasn't successful. Virtue played that perfectly, and when you've got somebody like Virtue on this team, or you've got somebody like Virtue in this game, you always have to be prepared for those kinds of plays, because he's somebody whose accuracy and his game sense has shown itself to be among the best in his entire region, and with enough opportunity, likely the rest of Pro League. We'll march on into the second round, and it's a downstairs defensive site for Fnatic as they've locked the Armory and Archive site up top. They're going to run with a very similar lineup, but they don't really need a Bandit there. Also, some teams like to bring a Castle, not in this case for Fnatic. They're likely going to try and impede any progress with those Mute Jammers and the Goo Mines from Lusty, providing Lusty can live long enough for them to actually matter.
Mario just trying to entry here into offices. He's waiting for information. Virtue going to get another early kill for his team. He has just been fragging out in these first 2 rounds, and he's getting aggressive again. He might get a second. There it is! A second round in a row. 2 kills early for Virtue, and one of them on top of Shelf. Such a predictable spot. Amazing that he does not get punished.
And he was in that exact same position, perched over top, to stop that push into Archives in round number 1.
Yep.
So, not just liking that angle, but also a mistake from Nora-Rengo to not bother to look up there. You know that with a ventilation and workshop defense, there's going to be some investment from the defense. And there you have it, a nice replay just to show you exactly how Virtue was able to get that kill. And he's going to lord over top. Nora-Rengo will need the next 90 seconds to be able to clear out and take map control completely as they now tailor their push over towards the site. But down 2 very important operators, both the Buck and the Twitch. This could prove to be quite difficult.
Hill's trying to cut off rotation there, allowing for his teammate above to get the kill. That's Ramu. Great coordination between Papilla and Ramu. Virtue, though, will get another kill. So there you go. That's 3, I believe, in this round for Virtue. And he has just been having a blast. Looking for a potential ace at this point. Going for a pre-fire from Customs into Tellers. Only a minute for these 4 defenders on Fnatic to delay Nora's last 2 attackers.
And Razel seems to have a line of sight onto where Virtue is going to be, or at least some information as to where he could possibly be playing out. He'll miss most, if not all, of his bullets onto Virtue as he remains unscathed. And Razel will walk all in on his lonesome. Ramu's off alone. There's Virtue. He's going to grab his 4th. Are they going to give him the 5th? Well, he'll lose 1 as Ramu takes down Rizraz, but he's got his work cut out for him. He'll have to retrieve that diffuser, rack up as many points as he can in the process, but where is he going to go? Does he have information on the rest of the defense? This is a very unenviable task, and he might just go for broke and drop into the heart of the site, which he will, but he doesn't have that diffuser, keep that in mind, so all he needs to do is go for kills. Great patience from Fnatic with 15 seconds left, but there's Ramu, and Lusty will take the very final kill. 4 for Virtue, a good quadra kill, but that's going to be all he's going to get. It's a team effort. Fnatic will take round number 2.
I mean, at this point, I think at this level, you're not really going for the aces after the aces, you just want to win. So, totally fair to just lock that out, and really, that is the way I would describe that round. It was a complete lockout by Fnatic. They didn't even let Nora take control of offices upstairs without being punished. Beautiful angle play from Virtue. Wow, 1 through the wall. I mean, just everything looked out fantastic there for Fnatic, and even actually that second kill, the 4th total, came through the wall as well. Quite interesting on the same exact angle.
You could see that all of Fnatic was just laying in wait, and I mean, like we said, you've got a Maestro on the board, you've got a Valkyrie on the board. They are likely being hidden, those utility, or those gadgets rather, and that utility is likely being hidden in places where they will continue to exist for a long period of time. Nora-Rengo, without the Thatcher, the only real device denial that they're going to have will be in the hands of an IQ, or possibly even a Twitch. But the Twitch was one of the very first people killed. That's going to rule her out. Yeah, you can just simply check for Valkyrie cameras with your own eyes. That works too. But right now, I would suspect that Nora-Rengo might change course and might prioritize the fact that they're going to need somebody to try and hunt down all these info devices that are being created and thrown around by Fnatic, because it's been Nora-Rengo's undoing.
Yeah, I think the information certainly has been working well for Fnatic. Clearly that Thatcher ban working out great. And I think it'll be a similar story when we go over to Fnatic's attack, because they did ban out Mira, something that I'm guessing they just did not want to deal with, prioritizing taking those straight-up gunfights. And with Echo also banned out, there's a lot less disorientation coming out of the defense. So Fnatic making it work with the kit that they have available, impressive. And also, again, that Thatcher ban seems to be right now hurting them. There is, of course, the IQ, like you talked about, that could be potentially brought, but it just hasn't been that prevalent here so far. There are a number of teams that fail to flex onto IQ when it seems necessary for whatever reason, and, well, maybe that's going to be the same case here. Well, that hasn't been the only issue. Of course, it's not an Echo in play right now. It's a Maestro in play. So you need to bring something that can destroy the Evil Eyes. Because the nades have been failing most of the time here from Nora, they need to bring other solutions. And Thatcher's not there. So yes, like you said, the Twitch would probably be the pick, the play. We'll see if Nora can make that work moving forward.
And the other thing, too, that's most damning about losing that Twitch is it's in the hands of Ramu, who came in onto this team for the Invitational. There were a lot of people and a lot of fanfare around him. There were a lot of people who thought that he, in combination, in conjunction with Waka, would prove to be this double threat that would be able to punch really, really well, along with Maryu there, a triple threat, so to speak. But Ramu dying early on. One of the best players on Nora-Rengo, one of the best players in all of Japan, and probably one of the best players in all of APAC. He can't really contribute all that well. It doesn't really matter what operator he's running on. But anywho, it's going to be a Bathroom Teller's defense right now for this third site. And we're just waiting on, believe it or not, Magnet has somehow broken his monitor. And it appears to have been fixed. Leave it to Magnet to be able to do the inconceivable, I suppose. But it's all been fixed up, and we're just waiting for him to get on in. And then we'll go with Bathroom Tellers. Now, with Mira being banned out, it stands to reason that we won't see a customs defense. She often ends up being extremely important. And while there are ways around it, a lot of teams do prefer that Bathroom Tellers site with the tools that they have.
Well, Bathroom Tellers, you look far enough back, was a really unpopular site. But once players and teams figured out, hey, you know, you could defend this the same way you defend customs, just vertically, just hold above. It became a lot more popular. People started to lean heavily into it. It's definitely not a go-to site. That's the thing about Border. It is one of those maps that has two go-to sites. That's your armory, your ventilation, defense, those two. And then two off-sites. So it's Tellers and Customs. Those off-sites played very similarly, like we talked about. But it's really preference when it comes down to it. And because they tend to be so in line with each other and really come down to personal preference, a lot of teams lean towards Tellers because, maybe we'll catch them off guard. Maybe they won't be as prepared for Teller's defense as much as a Customs defense. But, you know, that's just the cycle. That's how it goes.
Let's talk about when delays happen, too. It essentially works as almost a technical pause for these teams.
Yeah.
Nora-Rengo now find themselves down 2 on Border.
Good point.
And they now have an opportunity to do what over the next, the last 5 minutes? Talk amongst themselves. Sort out their issues, prepare for it. Now, you know that because both the armory and ventilation sites are locked out, you know that it's going to likely be a Customs or a possible Bathroom defense. Where are you going to go? You have lots of time to be able to get into the right mindset. And also, maybe possibly shake out some nerves. I know that for a team like Nora-Rengo, you are as experienced as just about anybody else here. This is a team that has not missed a LAN. If you go all the way back to Sao Paulo, or the Invitational rather, because they weren't at the Invitational 2018, but since then, they've been a staple of online competition. Then, of course, don't discredit the fact that APAC has their own LAN competitions as well to add to that. But they're working with a newer roster. They have a big hole to fill in Waka. They found Yoshingo to come on in, replacing JJ. The team seems to have a higher ceiling, but you still have some things to work out.
So, on that note, actually, quite interesting. In the most recent time that these teams met each other, it was actually at the APAC Finals in April 14th, 2019, and it was a 2-0 victory for Fnatic, 2 7-4s in a row on Consulate and Border. The last time these teams met at a LAN event, very recently, and it was on this map where Fnatic managed to take it. So if that record holds true, we might see another situation similar to that. Now, it looks like we might have everything ready for you guys, and yes, indeed, things seem to be working. So we're going to go straight in, and as we talked about, Bathroom Teller's defense. Definitely a solid site to defend, though, again, not as ideal as others. If you complete a full cycle, that's 3 defenses in a row. That'll allow you to go back to your first and your primary bomb site. It would be impressive for Fnatic to pull that off. This is the low-hanging fruit, as we like to say, for Nora, the round that Nora certainly should take. And if they're incapable of taking it, it does not look good for Nora, at least in this first half.
You're given the fact that there's a site that is less defendable than the others. That is your opportunity to possibly come back into this game. As mentioned right at the very start, these teams are very evenly matched as teams, but when they play each other, that's not the way it tends to go. These 2-0 results that we see dominating the way that these teams have played each other and then how lopsided the actual maps end up being, the danger zone for Nora-Rengo is in the next couple rounds. Because historically, the team that takes a big early lead doesn't really relinquish it. The only real time that comes to mind was in the 2019 quarterfinals for the Six Invitational, when it ended up being an 8-6 scoreline for Bank for Nora-Rengo. It was a very close matchup. But since then, the team that storms out to this big lead has a really good opportunity against one another. And given the fact that Nora-Rengo is still trying to iron things out with their team, and given the fact that Fnatic seems to have started off quite strong, that is a problem that Nora-Rengo might have to work against. So, with this bathroom teller's defense downstairs, you're going to see an awful lot of presence on that second floor. Basically sitting over top of the teller's site, you might have some kind of control or rotate inside a bathroom that you can use inside of the back of workshop as well, just to hold extra map control. But it really depends on the way that the teams use it. And already, a concession here from Fnatic as they realize they've lost that upstairs hold inside of offices and they have to fall back.
Well, only a little bit of delay work done by Fnatic. It is going to make things much more tricky. The way that Fnatic have been playing in this match so far seems to be pure aggression. I mean, all of the recovery that we've seen from Fnatic in that first round, it was Virtue just getting aggressive, taking fights. And the way that they've set this site up, they haven't even reinforced the primary panel into tellers from outside. That is a little bit telling, don't you think, of how Fnatic want to play it. First kill in this round for Rizraz, but he gets refragged by Raysil. So it's not quite over here for Nora. They're going to keep the momentum going. That's going to make things tricky.
And Ray almost loses that fight as well. So more pressure that's going to go onto the anchors inside of Fnatic, and you know how hard it is to hold this site as an anchor. It's hell. You need to be able to take fights off-site and hold that map control as long as you can on every single site. But this one in particular, because it's very claustrophobic with where you're going to sit. Raysil's still very low. He could possibly end up in a contest with Virtue, as both Lusty and Virtue are trying to hold down a push inside of tellers.
Plan is actually going down, and it doesn't seem like Fnatic has any denial for this situation. They think it's behind Soda. A bad call goes down, and that's the diffuser along with it. Magnet with a double piece, though, and Nora are starting to lose bodies. Papilla's going to get one onto Magnet. That's a great refrag, and he's on the perfect post-plant position, as is Mariu. Though a miscalculation in the extreme, and Fnatic will get an excellent recovery, one that they should not have been gifted.
No, and there you have it, and that kill onto the Capitao had to have been the straw that broke that camel's back, not just in terms of the fact that it put Nora-Rengo in a 1v3, but where that Capitao is playing, he should be largely unkillable. You're playing up top, outside, looking at those 2 windows. You have a line of sight onto that diffuser. Don't peek it. Don't put yourself in that position. And, I mean, we'll probably get a good look at it here in the replays as to exactly what happened. But man, that is a powerful position, especially with the way the Capitao is played as of late. You have to wonder if the usage of the para factors in at all, because with the M249, you can sit up there and just kind of rain death down upon people. But here you have it. There you go, Virtue, beautiful shot. And Papillia really should not have lost that at all.
Yeah, and then that ultimately, I think, cost the round, along with the Glaz dropping through the drop. Again, big miscalculation. It did cost Nora quite a lot. In fact, it cost them a whole round. So what that means is now we've just seen Fnatic complete a full cycle on Border, something that you don't normally see happen. Again, as this is not one of those maps that has 3 extremely comfortable sites on it. Given that, it means Fnatic now get to go back to their most comfortable site, which is Armory. That is evident as it was the first site that they picked. Now, last time we saw Nora attack onto Armory, they went for an office take, and they were just stopped dead in their tracks. They couldn't make it past offices, and then they started to adjust, started to try and go for some Hail Mary strategies, rushing in through the Armory door. It did not work out. Fnatic with a lockout, and it was thanks to Virtue's excellent, aggressive fragging towards offices.
Possibly enabled by, as we mentioned, a Maestro camera or even a Valkyrie camera.
Yeah.
But it was really impressive with how effortless Nora-Rengo took control of that wall. They picked Lusty off, who was trying to bandit trick on the office wall, and then immediately snowballed and picked up a second kill, putting themselves in a 5v3 with full office control. But nobody bothered to look up in archives, and nobody bothered to possibly confront Virtue when, as you said, he got very aggressive. Back onto the roof control now for Nora-Rengo, as I wouldn't be too surprised to see an armory side take, knowing that how the offices tends to go for teams, and if Nora-Rengo's biggest issue is that they don't have good coverage on the archives play, then office control can be lost very fast, as we saw in that first round. But for the time being, it does look like we're going to see yet another archives take, as all of Nora-Rengo is aligning themselves over by the office wall.
So look at this. Virtue has been aggressive on this ventilation window before, for the first time that Fnatic went to that armory defense. It was how he got the first kill of the round. And this Valkyrie cam is what is enabling that. There is an IQ for Nora this time around. So it is definitely possible that this will work out in Nora's favor. But Virtue is still continuing to play with fire. Oh, a free kill here for Ramu. Magnet goes down. That's a great start here for Nora.
That's got to be good drone work that enabled that, to play with the Valkyrie down below, completely unprotected, nobody watching. And yeah, I mean, 90 seconds in, you've got your very first kill. You need to go from there. All it's going to do is play somebody below who likely holds a C4 in their hand. And of course, if you know over where the offices and archives floors tend to be, that's a good position for a Valkyrie to find herself with the C4 in hand. So
Capitão's still in play this time around, and he's going to start pushing in his firebolts. That's going to make Virtue's life a lot more difficult, and it's clear that Nora are well aware of where Virtue is playing right now. But he's got support from Lusty and Aces, and he's actually going to be able to make it out despite 2 firebolts being used there. Truly a lot of utility for nothing.
A lot of bodies stacked up, though, for Fnatic over by the sandwich side of things, and this could be very dangerous, as they could end up getting caught out and then pushed back. If Nora-Rengo can sweep in, it'll put Fnatic in a position where they're going to need to retake, but they're going to be retaking into the line of sight of Nora-Rengo. We need to try and time this frag grenade perfectly alongside a Maverick poking his way on in. Lusty is going to be in dangerous position, cannot win the fight against Mariu, and once again be an advantage for Nora-Rengo, but immediately traded back from Rizraz on the Mariu, and Fnatic will look to hold on, but they are sequestered. None of the 3 remaining members of Fnatic are over towards the proper site. They are nestled inside of Armory, and they'll need to do something to push on out. It won't be Rizraz as Ramu catches them from below, and Aces and Virtue will need to be so big as they have been in the past. Especially with Virtue on the board, you can't write this one off just yet. But here's going to be some secondary pressure now from the IQ. Aces will be there to possibly greet her. Rushing on in as Aces taken down. It'll all be all on Virtue 3-1. But no, Papilia will shut him down in the very first round for Nora-Rengo will go their way as a great lockout. As all of Fnatic got trapped in the wrong bomb site, they did not have any tools to dig themselves out.
So Nora screams second time's the charm, and here we go, going on to Armory for the second time. Nora managed a successful attack. Beautifully done there. Ramu, really the star of the show, managed to get the opening frag onto that Valkyrie, and that is huge. Why? Because the C4 from Magnet from below is why we saw, again, that momentum that Nora managed to generate in the very first round completely blunted. Virtue, of course, contributing with his kills in that first round, and well, it was a great comeback from Fnatic, but that comeback denied by Ramu almost single-handedly. Like you said, though, he was likely droned in to get that kill. Could have been he saw the camera on his electronic detector, but it's less likely that that is the case. It is clear that Nora were aware of Magnet's roam downstairs and countered it quite directly. Well done to Nora. Beautiful read on how Fnatic set up their defense, because there was no adjustment from Fnatic. It was almost the same. Well, okay, correction. They did shift off of the office take being so fiercely held. So, yeah, Fnatic adjusted heavier to a site defense, and it didn't work out for them.
I mean, Lusty lost that fight as well inside of the doorway, and then when Virtue playing in his position over by the ventilation or the jump out over towards the vent area outside, what ended up happening? He fell off, and he was sitting next to Aces, waiting over by Sandwich, as they were likely expecting a play from outside of Archives, but it never came. The Archives push came in through Fountain, it came in through the offices, and then finally, when the diffuser did go down, it went in near the default plan spot, just through the doorway inside of Archives. Ultimately, the pressure that was applied from Nora-Rengo was perfect because it pushed all of Fnatic back, and Fnatic just couldn't retake. They didn't have anything at their disposal to do so. You got a Maestro with a great gun, sure, but his Evil Eyes are not going to be an influence at that point because it was likely that Nora-Rengo took them out. You also had Virtue, once again, great gun, no real utility to do so. It's a tough position to find Fnatic in, and it was very well played by Nora-Rengo.
I really want to know when Nora's going to figure out about that camera being thrown out north every single round, because it has actually given a lot of information to Fnatic throughout these rounds.
They'll probably find it out when they counter-strat for the next time these two teams play.
It might be a little bit too late. I mean, this isn't double elimination.
Season 10 finals, or if they're going to be if they end up playing each other in Raleigh, then look out for that camera.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm sure Nora will pick up on it eventually. If not, they still will have a good chance of recovering in that second half as long as they get at least 2 rounds out of this first one. At least 2. Nora is going to adjust their strategy, though. As you can see, it's going to be an arm retake this time around, which is something that they have yet to really commit to fully. We've seen one person attack into armory, and it was a Hail Mary strategy, and that was in the first round.
I'm very interested as to why Fnatic switched off of the Bandit. So you saw Lusty running the Bandit in the very first round on Armory. He was looking to actively Bandit trick. He's now been on the Electroclaw duty in Kaid. And I think that, number one, you can't actively Bandit trick. I mean, Kaid can still, Electroclaw trick. Ramu goes down, that's going to be the very first kill. The IQ, and then Raisel just cuts Magnet down to size, but Virtue's there to take out another member of Nora-Rengo. So both teams will lose something in the ensuing fray. The Armory wall has been opened up, so Fnatic will now need to stand pat and hold 2 possible angles, as we can see 2 bodies from Nora-Rengo just looking towards that gaping maw of the Armory wall. You have the soft wall inside a small office with Rizraz playing on it, but there's only a minute to go. There's not an ample amount of time at the moment. Maryu down as he runs on in, and that's it. The round is over. Okay. I guess Nora-Rengo decided, blow the trumpets and get in as fast as you can, but 50 seconds, that call for urgency ends up being your own demise, and that's the 4th round now for Fnatic through 5.
All right, so a pretty easy holdout of an Armory wall. I loved the fluid adjustment there from Fnatic. Only mistake Fnatic made was actually an individual mistake. Not sure if it was called for, but ooh, wow, nice shot from Riz there. I'm not sure if it was called for, but Magnet rotated away from half wall. He heard the grenades flying, and he decided, I'm going to get the heck out of here. Did not work out for him in the end, but the refrag there from Virtue was the saving grace. And again, we keep saying Virtue with the frags, bringing Fnatic back into these rounds, and that really is the story here.
Virtue is 10-0 at the moment.
10-0?
10-0. He has not died yet, even in the, no.
No, he has died. He died on the one round that Nora won.
Why does it say 10-0?
Does it actually?
It does say 10-0.
Huh.
The scoreboard is 10.
Yeah, well, okay.
I was going to say it's 10-0, and then I was like, wait a minute.
Wait up.
10-0-1.
10-0-1, there you go. So 10-0 assists, I guess, is probably what it is. Whatever the case be.
Bad caster.
It's okay.
Numbers don't lie.
He's been doing very well.
He's 10-0-1 at the moment. And yeah, I mean, if you're trying to match the productivity that he had at the 6 Invitational, that's a pretty good start, I would say. He's allowed to just have complete free roam, and I'll see what he'll be able to do on attack as well. The rest of the team all kind of keeping even pace with each other below him.
So, good effort by Virtue individually. He has been, hailed as one of those top players out of APAC for a long time, and he's continuing to prove that here today. As we discussed, or as the analysts rather discussed earlier, Virtue did kind of prove that same point at the 2019 Invitationals. Now, Mary is going to be taking control of East Stairs. You can see clearly that East Stairs and underneath has been droned out already, so he's got a lot of confidence pushing in here. Also clear that CCTV is empty, so Nora are going to take both East and CC, and with those 2 positions, they can, well, kind of work any strategy out that they want to on an upstairs clear before actually hitting the site, which is ventilation. Interesting reinforcement there. It's clear that Fnatic wanted to play inside of Customs, but now it's going to be a lot more difficult if that's open.
The double hard destruction that is not always commonplace on border is a little interesting to see, but I mean, it's working for Nora-Rengo so far. They've been running a Thermite quite religiously so far through this matchup. Now, Habana's just going to be able to take care of any of the hatches that they encounter, which is exactly what we saw her doing. And that's going to be the usage for Nora-Rengo to just try and keep the second floor control, which ultimately the second floor control is what won Fnatic this site on the second round. We saw it the last time. And it will be the last time that we see any defenses from Fnatic for the time being, as you have an interesting rotate coming in from Virtue over towards monitors. He could possibly catch Nora-Rengo off guard, as Nora-Rengo is so deeply focused right now on archives, they don't necessarily know that there's somebody playing inside of monitors. This could be very bad for Nora-Rengo if Virtue does not get droned out, because now Lusty as well as Rizraz are up there. This is going to be an interesting play.
Wow, okay, so 2 roamers in CCTV right now for Fnatic, and Ramu trying to come up on the balcony, looking for that. Shingo also near the main hallway trying to support. This is a really entangled set of 5 players right now. And, oh, first pick, there you go. Mariu takes down 1, and that's on the rotation. Riz does not get through the drop down, so Fnatic losing their presence on the top floor in CCTV as well. But Lusty with a double kill inside of Armory. He's made the rotation, he's there, he's safe, he's happy, and he's going to put Fnatic in a man count advantage with a run out as well. That's 3! Beautiful play from Lusty, and he will get shut down, but you can bet he's done his job.
Absolutely, and there's just, Nora-Rengo have really struggled to get a good grasp on where Fnatic is, and over the next 30 seconds, they're gonna have to find the remaining 3 bodies, as they do have upstairs control still, but they're gonna have to drop to their deaths. You know how vulnerable they are? They go through those hatches, and with the double hard breach combo of Nora-Rengo, they're running out of time. 15 seconds left, Ramu will hit the deck, he's hot in pursuit of 1 body, pulls out the secondary sidearm, Raisel takes down Magnet. This is technically winnable, but it's off to Aces and Virtue. Virtue will find 1, looking for the next. Where is Raisel gonna be? He's got the diffuser in his hand, there's very limited entry for him into the site. He'll start to plant that diffuser, immobilize, and as the clock struck 0, well, there's not going to be too much to do, but Virtue, hello, there you go! Aces and Virtue will work together to be able to get that, and it'll be very easy to grab the diffuser as well. From their very first bout on defense, Fnatic will emerge with a 5-1 scoreline, a very lopsided match. We'll see what they can muster on attack, as Nora-Rengo have some work to do, as they will have possibly 6 rounds, maybe less, to try and keep this map close.
Now again, the last time these teams met each other, April 14th, 2019, APAC Finals, what allowed them to qualify for this event was actually a match that Fnatic managed to take. It was best of 3. It was 2-0 in favor of Fnatic, 7-4, 7-4. And again, Border was that map number 2 that Fnatic took so decisively. So what we're seeing right now is what we've seen before in the past, or so it appears. That was a really nice try in that round from Nora, but gotta be honest, the main problem was their, I'm not gonna say lackluster, I would say they weren't very thorough when clearing the top floor. I'll just leave it at that. Clear the top floor and then allowed Fnatic to rotate 4 players up. 3 of them managed to get back, but they had 4 players late rotate to the top floor because Nora wasn't shutting down those rotations.
2 things here, and let's refer to them as A and B. A, Fnatic doing an excellent job of rotates, being very fluid and unpredictable and catching a well-coordinated team off guard. B, a team not so well coordinated and being taken advantage of because they don't have the wherewithal to drone effectively. Please write your choices in the column below if you think it is answer A or answer B, or maybe a little bit of both column A and column B.
It's a little bit of column A, column B for me right now. I think there are definitely holes in the way that Nora are playing right now. Again, that last round comes down to Nora not shutting down rotations, and that is definitely a column B situation. But it's also Fnatic certainly playing just so on point right now. You cannot deny that. They are certainly looking like contestants for something greater than at this moment in time, and it's impressive to see. Now, timeout done. That was a really well-timed timeout, I think, from Nora. They need to recover. They need to recover. They have to. So stack on top of that half transition and try to get as much as you can. Now, they'll be going on to defense. They're going to start, of course. Actually, not of course. They're going to start on ventilation, if I'm not mistaken. It seems that way, yeah.
I feel like I just said that this was not common.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely a little bit weird to see a team starting on ventilation of Border. It's not the craziest thing, to be sure. It will trip up your opponents ever so slightly. Like, for example, ventilation. You don't have to bring a thermite. You can, if you really want to focus on clearing those top 4 roamers, and it's very useful. But it's not as essential as it is when you're attacking straight onto Armory. So a little bit of a maybe helpful thing there for Nora. Maybe. I'm grasping at straws, guys.
It is frustrating that these two teams, these Titans that have faced each other off and represent a great region that has grown so much in our community, is right now looking as lopsided as it has. I mean, the thing is a lot of people entered into this series and entered into Milan saying that with the more time for Virtue to gel with the roster, the more time that Fnatic has been boot camping, which they were doing in the UK prior to this event, and the fact that Waka was taken off of Nora-Rengo, this is a great first step for Fnatic, who as a team tend to get very emotional. They are a team that tend to ride the highs and crash at the lows, as we've seen before. And a big momentum booster, which this match could be, which would propel them to play the winner of Team Empire versus Dark Zero, which we have up next, which neither of those teams is going to be a walk in the park for either Nora-Rengo or Fnatic. This could be a massive confidence booster for a team that, such as Fnatic, absolutely needs it. A team like Nora-Rengo, they're very steady. Even when they were losing at the 6th Invitational to Empire, which would be a rematch should Nora-Rengo and Empire win in these next 2 matches, they were still riding high. They were still affable. They still seemed happy no matter what.
Yeah, that's definitely I think a trait that Nora has, and we'll have to see if that continues without Waka. As talked about in the analyst desk, Waka being an energetic character on the roster. Now, we're going into this attack, and I say that in that we've been in this attack for a long time, and Fnatic haven't really done very much with it. They're trying to clear out the top floor, but look at that, almost 2 whole minutes gone in that effort. I love and applaud the caution from Fnatic, but are they going to have enough time to actually hit the site? More importantly, I mean, we've got potentially 3, certainly 2, I'm sure, C4s on the defensive side. So once you get that top floor, the vertical pressure is going to be abundant. Oh. Wow, what a shot there. And that's going to be an early kill there for Mario. 2 refrags, though, from Fnatic, so man advantage not being taken away there from the Aussies.
Ramu's up next with Mario down below, and Racel will likely join them at some point as he was still upstairs playing inside of Archives. It's going to be a well-coordinated push that will likely come out from Fnatic, but Nora-Rengo has everything in their disposal, especially since you noted those Nitro cells and a pulse on the board. Having Ramu on that pulse will be so incredibly pivotal over the next 28 seconds of this round, and could be a major step in the right direction for Nora-Rengo on a site that Fnatic might not have fully prepared for. Because of the castle barricades being the way they are, Fnatic is going to have to filter on in through a setup that was created by Nora-Rengo, and they need some urgency. It's going to get blown out, and there you go. Mario goes down as Virtue catches Mario trying to rotate, but it's 8 seconds. Where's the diffuser in the hands of the Capitão? No, it's an Aces who's going for the plant. It's a double up from Nora-Rengo. Aces down. Where's Magnet? He doesn't have much time. Oh my God, Nora-Rengo. And that's a huge boost for their confidence to shut Fnatic down and take a round that they desperately needed to win.
Beautiful job there from Nora, a round they certainly should not have won, and they managed to take it anyway. Some pretty key mistakes made there by Fnatic. They split themselves up a little bit too much towards the end. We saw, for example, Zofia of Virtue going for a push into Workshop while the rest of his team is attacking a completely separate part of the site. That push ultimately met in demise. You can see it right there where Ramu takes down Virtue. It seemed like Fnatic had full control, but just some great play there individually from Nora to take that. Now, that is, as you said, an incredibly important round. Nora had to win that round. If they hadn't, they would have likely lost all of the momentum that they could have generated in this match. And now they're going to go on to Armory, much more standard site, and I'm sure it will be predicted by Fnatic. Not quite like what we just saw there on Fence. And that's going to change, I think, the dynamic here for both teams.
I mean, it's not uncommon, like I said, to see teams go there. It is a bit of a risk. It can often end up being a liability in the grand scheme of things, because if they lose that, it ends up being a 6-1 scoreline for Fnatic, who find themselves on match point off of a gamble that was being brought out from Nora-Rengo. But it keeps them in this game for the time being. There is still a monumental task ahead of Nora-Rengo, which is close this gap up. There are 3 rounds that you will need to win. You can do 1 on Armory, which is where they are going to play for this round, but then after that, you're going to have to go to Bathroom Tellers. You're going to have to go to Customs. You're going to have to go to one of the sites where it's unlikely that the defense will win. It happens. Fnatic was able to manage it, but maybe not Nora-Rengo, depending on how they play out. So that was a pretty big gamble that Nora-Rengo pulled off, but it worked. It worked quite effectively, and it was a large part because of Castle, who's a very pivotal operator, and it was Yoshingo playing on Castle then. He's going to be just as pivotal in this round as he's going to be playing the Valkyrie, and he catches one looking. Oh, my word! Aces, pinpoint precision, and he just absolutely destroys Ramu. Virtue falls as well, though, so Nora-Rengo will find themselves back in the lead. What a shot that was, and it takes out an incredibly important operator in the position of Bunker, as well as that is the Maestro off the board.
We were talking about the aggression from Fnatic on defense, and now look at this. It's the same thing, even more so for Nora-Rengo, as they are on defense just playing off their Valkyrie camps, going for aggressive plays. Here comes the C4 and the run out, and it's going to be a frag for Aces. Great job there for Fnatic, managing to shut that down. Yoshingo still, though, inside a CC.
And it looked like that was a great bit of coordination from Papilia and Yoshingo, but Yoshingo thought better of it because immediately you saw Aces come back up and pre-fire the doorway. Could have ended up getting a second kill, depending on how the pieces fell in that particular instance. But
he was
Aces also finds himself in a position where he's very low on HP, and every single bullet from every single one of the guns from Nora-Rengo will take him out of action.
We've got 2 of the 3. Oh no, a run out there from Raysil, and he's gonna take down Aces finally. As I was about to say, we've got 2 of the 3 defenders in CCTV, and another one of them's gonna get a kill onto Lusty, leaving just Magnet. This is a stacked defense from Nora. They found their targets and they ran to them. And now that Magnet's position is given away, the marks are coming out here, and it's going to be futile for Magnet to try. Nora will take this round. That's 2 defenses in a row, putting them at 3-5.
You ban Nomad because you don't want to have to play against her, but you also ban Nomad because you don't have to worry about runouts the same way. And you just saw 3 opportunities there from Nora-Rengo to take advantage of the fact that nobody from Fnatic had the ability to put down any possible anti-runout or anti-flank materials, be they claymores and so on. We also saw Fnatic doing the same thing, and these are big chances that Nora-Rengo are taking. Even though they find themselves having to dig them, their whole team out of this hole, they're still playing a very aggressive game. And it can very easily get under the skin of your opponents. It could very easily get under the skin of Fnatic here, who appear to have taken a timeout as Dizzle is instructing his team on exactly what to do. And this is the time that you want to take it if you're Fnatic. Nora-Rengo took it as the sides were switching because you're not really going to take a timeout for 1 or 2 final rounds. Nora-Rengo took a bit of a breather and retooled for a defense that so far is a perfect example of how you use those timeouts. They are 2 for 2 on defense. Fnatic is hoping to maybe change the tide with this, but right now Nora-Rengo are playing with a lot more confidence and a lot more structure on defense than they did on attack.
Yeah, you could see in that last round, for example, on the note of structure, Aces was stuck on that rappel for so long, and why? He didn't have anyone to cover him. He had to be the player in a double angle play position, watching the run out from front door, simultaneously watching the run out from CCTV door. And all the while, what is Fnatic doing? Nothing. Nothing. They've lost so much manpower. They're trying to get the players inside of CCTV, but they're accomplishing nothing because they're just waiting for runouts, and they come at the inopportune moments. So it's a really good job there from Nora, playing on their opponent, knowing what to expect and stacking on that CCTV hold. The majority of the defense in that last round came in CCTV. There was very little going on elsewhere for either team, and that is just good prediction from Nora, followed up by, well, follow-through from Nora, stacking up. Fnatic did not have the tools to handle it. They lost too much manpower early on. They did not adjust in time, and they lost the round because of it.
It does appear that we're going to be heading to Customs and Supply Room as the 3rd defense for Nora-Rengo. Now, as we said the exact same thing when the sides were inverted, and it was Fnatic defending. He defended the bathroom site on that first floor. We said, well, Nora-Rengo, here is your perfect opportunity. You haven't been so successful so far. Fnatic won their very first 2 defenses on Armory and Vents. Nora-Rengo the same. But Fnatic kept that going. They were able to win the bathroom site because of great second floor control. And Nora-Rengo looking a little bit lost as to how to take full control of the site, and then the beautiful retake that followed up from Fnatic as well. For Nora-Rengo, we're going to see a different site being brought out, and it's going to be Customs. It's going to be the first time we see this site. Depending on what happens with the scoreline, it might also be the last, but that's something that needs to be shaken out here. How are Nora-Rengo going to approach this? Well, if you look at their lineup, they're going to be running with a very similar lineup what we saw last time. They're going to forego the Valkyrie. There's likely not going to be a lot of run-out potential. They're, what, You think they're going to hunker down over top of Customs and then keep a couple bodies in sight and just try and repel Fnatic as they push on in while maintaining minimal map control outside of that second floor? What's your thoughts?
I mean, right now it certainly looks like it's going to be a second floor stack. You see Mario's going to be putting up a barricade towards the front door, some barbed wire heavily stacked in that main hallway downstairs, and what that signifies is Nora consider that a weak spot. They're going to try and just, shore it up with what they have available. They're also opening up a lot of holes from above, which means they are going to be defending, you guessed it, from above, so that they can deny the plant inside of A, inside of B, using drop downs, using holes pre-made. Eventually, I'm sure they will open up one of the 2 drop downs in CCTV as a rotation, but it's possible that they'll just try and do a retake strategy on the heavy roam. So we've got some roamers far field by Armory, by Fountain on the side of Nora, and those players are going to be in positions to later retake into CCTV if necessary. So Nora's playing, it looks like, a very fluid style here, and that's really what we've been seeing from them on defense outright so far in this second half. Just find where the opponent, that's Fnatic, is coming from and, well, address them. Say hello and stack up your players on that. If you can't win those gunfights outright, fall back and set up for a retake. That seems to be the mentality for Nora, but it's too early to call that. Maybe they've shifted away from what they've been doing earlier in the match.
Nora-Rengo's also got some dual kill holes / windows down into the site inside of monitors, so they can possibly look at these default plant spots. That's likely going to be the play here. Fnatic does discover that the Pulse of Ramu is playing inside of Armory, and Fnatic opts to fall off instead of engaging that fight. At least Magnet does. We're just going to put Ramu in a position now to greet Magnet. As you can hear the UMP shooting through that floor, and Magnet knows that Ramu is wise to his tricks, and once again it will be another rotate from Fnatic. They don't seem to know exactly how to tackle this Pulse. In fact, nobody from Fnatic seems to have figured out that there were 2 bodies as well of Nora-Rengo playing inside of monitors, and that was both Yoshingo as well as Papilia. So this top floor control, as we speculate, is very important. And the moment that monitors decides to go in favor of Fnatic, should it, this could go very hairy for Nora-Rengo. Yoshingo gets pushed out right into the waiting arms of Rizraz, a name who we haven't really mentioned much today, and Fnatic will take the early lead, but there's a minute to go. And Ramu immediately refrags him, shuts down Virtue. Papilia down below. Raisel's there yet again. He loves this supply room. He does so well in it, and he's going to continue to do so with just a minute for Fnatic to recover. But everything is falling away. Papilia takes down yet another, and Fnatic look completely lost. Drowning right now as Mariu will get a team kill, but also claim Magnet. Now it'll be all on aces with 3 bodies left in 40 seconds. This is a really tough position to find yourself in, and Nora-Rengo are making every single member of Fnatic pay over these 3 rounds.
This is certainly a no-hope type situation for Aces. He's got to enter into a crossfire to make this happen, but he will vault site, take the diffuser, and vault out before being finally shut down. Mariu, last kill of that round, and a good performance from him individually. The overall setup there from the defense of Nora was actually quite beautiful for a number of different reasons. It was feigned as top floor control, and when Fnatic went for CCTV, they invested so much of their manpower in that. They started coming into CCTV and being torn apart from the players below them. Love to see it from Nora. Beautiful strategies and stuff that you just don't usually have happen. Again, one step ahead is Nora on this defense, and that seems to be the story for the second half, as they are very comfortable here.
And they get to go back to ventilation as well, which did catch Fnatic off guard, I believe, in the way that they played in particular. Fnatic were very much a victim of the clock the very first time that they had to attack this site. They're likely going to be a little bit more adaptive and hopefully more reactive if you're a fan of Fnatic. A lot of it hinged upon the castle play. From Yoshingo downstairs, like I said, funneling Fnatic into the spots where you know that you as Nora-Rengo have your bodies to stop them. Raisel in particular. Yoshingo's going to be back on this castle. And it looks like it's going to be, for the time being, at least a very similar setup. So, interesting. Fnatic saw the setup that Nora-Rengo had. There's an opportunity here for Fnatic to be able to move around it. I would imagine that there will be some small changes from Nora-Rengo as to how they guard over towards the bathroom side of things, which is where those castle barricades were located last time. You know that you can't just really jump into ventilation the same way if you're Fnatic, because you will almost assuredly die as Nora-Rengo, or, well, as I said in the last round, wise to your tricks, especially with that side of Virginia.
On the note of wise to your tricks, I think one thing that needs to change for Fnatic is their CCTV take. Every single time Fnatic goes for a CCTV take, which is, I think, most of these rounds, if not all, so far in the second half, they seem to get shut down by Nora, who are just so ready for it. Not just in holding firm in CC, but also below CC, or to the side of CC. Anywhere. Anyhow, Nora are prepared for that take, so time to experiment if you're Fnatic. Time to bring something that could potentially change the outcome of these rounds, as Fnatic have yet to win an attacking round. Looks like it's going to be another anchor inside a CCTV, or heavy roam if you want to call it that. Ramu is going to run away using one of his impacts, so there are no more roamers inside of CC. He did eat a lot of damage. Might have been, I believe, no, it wasn't from a grenade, so it must have been his own impact that did that damage. Hate to see it, but it does happen.
It's a blow too, because if you lose the Legion early on, a minute on in, you don't have a lot of utility that's been built up at this point. It's a very integral gadget through the final minute of a round, not just for sound detection, but also for anti-plant. There are an awful lot of things that Legion can accomplish just simply by existing until the final moments of any given round. So, you mentioned that Fnatic needs to work on the way that they take this monitors and security hold and where they go from here. Well, they've got Rizraz in there for the time being. It looks like it'll be a successful thermite charge off on the wall, and you've got complete control of Armory now as Nora-Rengo have peeled off. They're gonna sit over by Sandwich and wait. You've also got Racel down below the site, as the Mute likely has a Nitro cell in his hands.
He does have one Nitro, and it is the only Nitro here available for the defense, and we'll see if it actually manages to influence this round. He is just waiting patiently down below. Fnatic look to want to try and clear out under the sites before they go for the push. They still have all of their utility on the Capital. They're still ready for a straight-up execute. But look at the man count. It's still a 5 versus 5. Correction, it looks like Shingo's gonna get the first kill. So things are changing rapidly on the face of this attack for Fnatic. They need to make something happen in their favor. They're so spread out though. What is the attack strategy is the question in my mind right now. Virtue seems to be going for a very late flank, but it is just that, late. And from below, no, potentially through the soft wall. Papilla's gonna get one, now two. Mario will shut down Virtue on the flank, and it's just Rizraz who's trying to hunt down roamers. What is going on with this Fnatic attack? It is extremely messy.
He's only got 10 seconds left, and he's basically a dead man down below, and there goes Ramu to get the very final kill. Nora-Rengo have tied things up. The crowd elated with this comeback that we see from the Japanese team on the stage, and well, I said that if you look at past results, these maps don't really tend to be that close. The team that takes an early lead will snowball from there, and then with it goes the series. We could see that trend line snap here, as it doesn't really seem to be the case.
Well, I mean, on the note of snap, if you look at, like, for example, when these teams met each other at the Invitational, map number 1, Bank. It was an 8-6 in favor of Nora. A very close match, super exciting. If you haven't seen it, you certainly should. Assuming you don't care about the spoiler that's just now. The next map was a 7-1 in favor of Nora. I mean, it's completely one-sided. Very, very much just Nora walking away with the match. Fnatic seemed to fall asleep in that second map. And so when you say snap, I agree with you. I think once one of these two teams starts to break away and they start to get the win, or even, if they take it to the last round, but whoever gets the win here, I think it's going to have a pretty heavy advantage going into map number 2. And I think that's been the story for a long time with these teams, and I think it'll continue to be so.
I actually think that this Thatcher ban that was orchestrated by Fnatic is working against them for the time being.
Oh yeah? I mean, you're right.
The biggest issue that Fnatic seems to have, which is the issue that Nora-Rengo had, was information gathering. And if you look at the fact that Mute has been a staple on both of these teams for this game, it doesn't look like Fnatic is aware of where Nora-Rengo is positioned. Now, obviously, drones are your biggest asset to be able to figure out where they are, and when Mute jammers, just shut them down in their tracks. And that appears to be the issue for the time being with Fnatic. They are not able to get the intel that they want. They don't have the EMPs on the Thatcher. They haven't been running a Twitch at all, and even then, depending on where you place that jammer, Twitch might not be the best counter in the same manner as a Thatcher. So you put a lot in the hands of IQ, which is on Rizraz, who will find actually both of the Valkyrie cameras. That is possibly debilitating to the defense, as Yoshingo now will only have one black eye cam that will be gathering information as to where Fnatic are going to be pushing from.
Well, surprise, surprise, Fnatic are going to be pushing into CCTV. We've seen that before. Now, it's going to be Papilla sitting by the shelves, and nade goes in, but oh, it goes wide and hits Yoshingo. Great nade there from Magnet, and that is a good start from Fnatic. One of the few good starts they've had on attack.
Yeah, you lose the utility from the Valkyrie, you lose the Nitro Cell as well. You lost 2 of those Evil Eyes, and now Papilla falls as well, so Fnatic's push inside of monitors going quite effectively. Ramu with the counterpunch onto Aces. That will also be the diffuser falling as the singular hard breacher for Fnatic will be out of action for the remainder of the round.
So, Nora aren't completely out of this yet, but it's going to get worse as Ramu gets shut down by Magnet. Okay, on this Armory defense now, Nora are in a very tricky spot. Rayseal's playing over by offices, so that leaves just Mariu as the sole anchor here to defend this Arsenal take.
But I mean, it's a 2v4 and you don't have a hard breach on Fnatic. That could be very easy for the defense of Nora-Rengo to hold on, depending on where Fnatic decides to push on in from. Suspecting that there's a body playing by Bunker, which is Mariu, there's going to be an asphyxiating bolt that goes down, but Mariu is peeled off. He's going to decide to take the fight, though, with Magnet. He's going to lose a lot of HP. Rizraz just jumps right on in, looking for 2. Oh, he gets 1, pulls out the pistol, looking for the other. There you have it. Takes matters into his own hands. We haven't heard a lot from him that round. Very important stretch to put Fnatic on match point on map number 1. And finally stop this landslide that Nora-Rengo was in the process of riding all the way to the finals for this map.
Well, I mean, it certainly has seemed like the defenders' play place here on Border so far today. And a lot of that, I'm sure, does come down to the fact that we got a Thatcher Nomad ban. I mean, those 2 operators both allow for a lot of, well, I mean, on the side of Thatcher, it means you can, as you said, mute every single round, and just an abundance of information denial there for the defenders. On the Nomad, it means that you can rotate as a defender. You can get aggressive as a defender. It means you're no longer cut off anywhere as a defender unless there's a barrel pointed your direction. Now, that hasn't been a mindset in terms of the barrels being pointed in directions that has worked for either attacking team so far for this match. At least outside of, what's this? 2 rounds. 2 attacking rounds so far total. So, you need to have a little bit of luck, it seems, with the formula that's been presented to both of these teams to get an attacking victory. Fnatic, that last round, they just happen to be in the right place at the right time. They get those kills on those rotations. They clear out CCTV thanks to that beautiful nade from Magnet. They managed to turn that into a good clear of the roamers following that. There was such a manpower advantage for Fnatic. They managed to hit the site and just refrag each other.
Now, we're on match point now between these 2 teams that will propel us over to Clubhouse, which is going to be our second map. Now, keep in mind that Border was Nora-Rengo's pick. The last time this was played was only just a couple weeks ago at the APAC Season 9 Finals. It was a 7-4 victory for Fnatic. But that was with JJ on the team. That was without Yoshingo. Safe to say, on paper, a stronger team for Nora-Rengo. But how they've been able to play and adjust is the real question. And so far, I gotta say, when they picked up momentum, Nora-Rengo did look like a much better team, but both of these teams beat themselves on attack. Nora-Rengo was beating themselves with their hesitation, their inability to collect information, and just losing straight up gunfights to people that they weren't expecting, and Fnatic just could not simply overpower the defenders of Nora-Rengo, even when they knew where they were, which wasn't all that common.
Looks like Fnatic going for another CC take, and it's gonna be Yoshingo and Papilla as well. Here, again, in CCTV, trying to hold up this Fnatic take. Yoshingo gonna go for a run out, and he might get a kill or 2 here. He'll get Virtue, that's a good one, but Magnet with the refrag. So it's not over yet. A double run out, though, from Nora, and it's complete exchange here in the man count. Fnatic managed to take 2 for 2, and that is impressive. At the same time, they gave away a lot of manpower and, well, time. And the operators that were exchanged definitely favor Nora. You've got a lot of utility on the side of Fnatic just gone, whereas all of Nora's utility that could have been lost is a pre-placed sort of utility, the ADSs and the Valkyrie camps.
Absolutely. Fnatic lost that trade quite handedly. You lose your only set of frag grenades, which were in the Buck. You lost your soft destructive capabilities in both the Zofia and the Buck. So there's an awful lot of things that Fnatic might need to change up with the remainder of this round because 2 incredible operators have been taken out of action.
And look at this now. Nora have brought all of their manpower back to site. They've said, all right, you know what? We've done our damage. We've done what we set out to do, and we're going to bring everyone back in just to play safe. And that's Rayseal, Ramu, and Mariu just sitting in sight, waiting for the attack to happen, knowing that Fnatic are going to take in a lot of time to set themselves up. And, well, they certainly are.
I believe they're sitting in a very wonderful triangle, a nice obtuse angle between them. If I do understand my angles.
It does seem that way, yes.
It does seem that way. And because of Ramu's Vigil ability, the suspicion for me is that he will be below. I would gather that Fnatic will likely think the Vigil is playing underneath and instead not nestled into the site. But that's exactly where he is. And Fnatic will now need to struggle over 30 seconds. That will separate them from a possible second map, lest we go to overtime and see exactly what happens from then on. They've got 25 seconds, and their entrance will be heralded by a slap on the wooden barricade. Asphyxiating bolts for Lusty will go out too, and now he's going to try and shroud out any possible view as the smokes go down. You've got Rizraz holding an angle, Lusty going in for the plant. Mariu takes out Rizraz. There goes your flank watch, looking to come back in. Oh, Mariu wins the fight on the aces. Lusty is completely vulnerable. He won't win it. Mariu, 3 huge kills. Nora-Rengo come out of nowhere. Oh my goodness, and 4 kills in total for Mariu, as that'll be overtime, and a great bit of elation on the side of Nora-Rengo. This map is not over just yet.
And Mario gets a last kill there at the end onto Raysil, actually. So he technically got 5 kills in that round. Great job there to Mario. Huge round overall, individually, and you got to hand it to him with the performance that was needed to keep his team in this match. So, 6-6, as you said, OT. Well, this is a pretty desperate situation if you're Fnatic. A lot of this is going to come down, in my mind, a lot of this is honestly going to come down to who gets OT on defense. Or OT on defense, pardon me, defense on OT. So we'll find out when we find out. We'll get into it just in a second. I believe it should technically be Nora. We'll see. Now, given that Nora will have OT on defense first, they're going to be able to defend one more round than their opponent. That will be a pretty huge advantage, as we've only had 2 attacking victories on Border so far.
This is where it's going to get interesting here. Nora-Rengo wasting no time. They'll go down to Ventilation and Workshop, which was the site that flummoxed Fnatic the last time that they went here.
Yep.
And it was actually a site that went perfect. Nora-Rengo's only loss on defense was on Armory, exactly the same for Fnatic. So it'll be interesting to see when Fnatic goes to their defense. They will get, at minimum, the 1 crack at it. That might be all that there is in this matchup. It could end up being an 8-6 for Nora-Rengo if everything goes their way, but a Ventilation Workshop for Nora-Rengo makes an awful lot of sense. It was a site that they looked very strong on. They controlled that second floor very effectively. They were able to completely shut out Fnatic's ability to gather information on them, and then just win every single gunfight on top of that. Information is extraordinarily powerful in this game. But when you are constantly blind and essentially having to just fly into rooms, not expecting somebody to be there, the unconventional style that we see out of Nora-Rengo and how they defend as aggressively as they do, it's really been able to beat Fnatic to the punch on so many different entries.
Playing with fire there, so Shingo is going to give away one of his evil eyes. He's trying to distract, potentially get a kill for free, but it was a little bit late on the throw. Too easy for Virtue to detect. Now, Fnatic have to clear out the top floor before they start hitting the site. They know this, and that's their primary focus at this moment in time. Virtue's going to choose to try and clear out open area. Looks like they're going to shift their focuses actually down to maybe a bathroom take based on what we're seeing right now. Mario getting aggressive, just trying to take those gunfights that he has been winning outright so far throughout this match. And, well, he might actually get a kill onto Virtue if Virtue doesn't play this correctly, but seems like he's seen the tracers and is aware of the angle.
Yeah, they went sailing right by him and wondering, oh, I wonder what happened to that door there. Well, it was shot out. You now know that there's at least 1 body playing inside of Archives in case you hadn't droned that out, and it's possibly an easy task for Fnatic to keep somebody watching and make sure that nobody gets out of there alive. There was a drop hatch, though, so Nora-Rengo does have a pull cord or rip cord in case of emergency, and they can just hit the deck and rotate through the bottom floor, try to get back quickly to the site. Fnatic so far have used this 90 seconds as an investment into monitors and then over on the archive side of things. I don't know if Magnet is privy to the fact that there was a prepped window over by Supply of the Legion of Ramu just sitting and waiting. Magnet is waiting for a possible spring out. There you go, you'll hear the goo mine. This could end up being a bait, but it does appear that Ramu is heading in the opposite direction.
Wow.
He'll come back and Magnet will completely look away. Ramu might go for the run out now. Oh, just inconsequential timing for both of them. And that could have been a very easy first kill for Fnatic, as we've had a bit of a slow start here. 1 minute left to go in the round, and everybody is still upright.
Yeah, Fnatic seem to want to clear into Armory, but they are making a mess of it right this second. You can see that it's just, well, pre-fire after pre-fire, lifeline, but no utility landing for the defense, or the attack, but it will for the defense. Yoshingo, a C4 from below. Virtue will take out Mariu on the clear upstairs, so Mariu's aggressive plays, trying to take fights, finally going to work against him. With a C4 from below, snuffs out the Capital. That is huge. Virtue gets his second kill, though, onto Papilla, so there you go. Fnatic keep the man advantage. They also now have control of top floor, which is huge. They're clearly angling for a ventilation take, and with the control that Fnatic has, it's possible, but Yoshingo with his second kill to answer back onto Virtue's 2 kills. This is a great performance here from the newest player on Nora-Rengo so far in this round, but there's only 13 seconds left. Fnatic have to go for an attack straight into the site, and Rizraz missing some important shots. Virtue's gonna get his third onto Yoshingo, aces with one as well, and Virtue, the 4th kill! A beautiful round from the Zofia of Virtue, and Fnatic take the first round of overtime, as well as the 3rd round total on attack.
Virtue is that correct? I would like to see the scoreboard, if possible, because if this is the case,
17
and 6.
Wow.
That is outstanding. I was going to say, the numbers that we have up there, he was within, heading into that round, he was far off. But now with this round,
okay,
there is a possibility that he could have ended up breaking the record for most kills in one game. It's currently held by Rampy at 22, but that's not going to be the case. He will need to find an ace in this round, or we will need to go to round number 15 for Virtue to break it. But what a performance from him it has been. 17 kills, carrying this team on his back. An absolutely monstrous performance. And with Fnatic now going on to defense, is the way that the overtime role swap works and side swap, Fnatic will go downstairs to ventilation and workshop, which is exactly what Nora-Rengo did. Fnatic was perfect on this site. They won in both round number 2 and round number 6. There was a plant that went down from Nora-Rengo in the very final round of Fnatic's defense, but Fnatic were able to not just kill every single member of Nora-Rengo, but also stop that diffuser from going off.
So yeah, just to be really super duper clear, what we just saw there on the side of your screen, those stats aren't to be trusted. Right now, Virtue sitting at 17 kills. So yeah, he could potentially get close to that record. It would be quite interesting if it were to happen. Now, Fnatic going to the ventilation defense first. I like to see this. I think it's probably the right call. Vent seems to be the favored site for both teams. Somewhere they're both very comfortable. The only attack that Nora managed to win on that first half was onto Armory. Why would Fnatic take that risk? So here we go. Good game sense, good awareness from Fnatic. The overall setup here is looking a whole lot like what we've been seeing from both teams throughout, well, both halves. Big difference here is, of course, the Maverick. Mariu and Nora-Rengo has been bringing that Maverick, and it's been such a useful tool for Nora. They're going to be able to open up jail because of that, and that is a huge advantage to have over your opponents when attacking onto ventilation. If you really want to isolate that B-bomb site, you can push into storage from jail and then turn that into a kind of a cutoff using an angle straight into servers. Yeah, it's a great way to hit this site, but you also still have to clear out the top floor. You have to be wary of those roamers upstairs. Fnatic do have some. It's Lusty and Virtue playing by Armory and Archives.
So Fnatic, as most teams do on Border, will live and die off of the second floor hold, in which there is a considerable focus from Fnatic for the time being. Rizraz, Virtue, and Lusty, this holy triumvirate that has been in play for Fnatic has been so crucial. Lusty had a massive round here previously on Ventilation and Workshop, but of course Virtue's been having massive rounds all over the map. It doesn't really matter where it is. As long as he's in play, there's a good chance that Fnatic is going to be able to battle back. They find themselves once again on match point. They have 90 seconds to possibly survive, as everything falls for the attackers in this. Get the bomb down or get the defuse down, defuse the bombs. There you go, kill everybody on Fnatic. There you go. Nora-Rengo are getting very close to Fnatic over on the opposite side of things. Lusty is still playing these double reinforced walls, as you can hear the asphyxiating bolts behind him. It's not going to do any damage to Lusty, though. And you're going to find the very first kill goes on to Magnet. Once again, found out and caught out with Lusty playing in the same spot. As Kaid before, he was not able to do too much. He sees the Maverick, will be able to win the fight. Oh no, Lusty missing far too many times. Pistol out, can he pull up some heroics? No, Papilla will find him. and everything will be happening in a hurry as the rest of Fnatic will turn tail and drop down towards the site. Virtue, possibly on a flank. He can get one, he'll start, but he'll get caught immediately from Papilia, and now down goes Aces. Rizraz will need to kill 4 members or ride out the remaining 30 seconds. Doesn't really have the best kit to do it, and we're gonna need the ultimate overtimes of overtimes, as that is a lockout from Nora-Rengo in a very impressive round that will push us on to the 15th and final round between these two teams.
Wow. In the regular match, the first 12 rounds, 2 attack wins, and then you go into OT, and then both of the first 2 rounds in OT are attack wins. And this is the advantage that Nora has. Now they get to go into the very last round defending. That's as good as it gets if you're Nora. This should be able to get them map number 1. Ramu and Mariu having some really amazing performances. 12 kills for Ramu, 13 for Mariu. Virtue sitting at 18 now. Comfortable, but not quite as good as having 2 people heavily contributing. Right now on the side of Fnatic, you've got 3 people with 7 kills. That's Riz, Aces, and Lusty, and Magnet sitting at 8. So it's a pretty across-the-board performance from everyone but Virtue on the side of Fnatic. Overall, though, that clear of the top floor in that last round from Nora, that was the best clear we've seen, I think, outright of the roamers upstairs on a ventilation defense. It was beautifully done by Nora.
I think that was the second time that Magnet got found way too early on as well, right? He got basically picked off and wasn't really much of a factor. This happened before when he was playing on that Valkyrie previously on defense. I mean, his team still, if I remember correctly, were able to I think that was the round actually where they lost, but I was going to say his team was able to recover to an extent, but I think that was the round that they lost. And I mean, when you find yourself basically giving away a life for free, it's very difficult for you to be able to find your footing after that. And Magnet in particular, who has been a standout for Fnatic in the past, has been not necessarily quiet, but just as consistent as the rest of the team. That is a problem. That's a major problem because you lose that map control, you lose that worry about a possible later flank too. Something that Nora-Rengo has been doing exceptionally well is being able to catch Fnatic off guard later on in the round. It's something that Fnatic has done too, but not as effectively, I find. And the problem is that when you have Magnet go down for no real reason, you find yourself in a greater hole for, an abundance of reasons.
So here we go. Twitch on the Fnatic. Ace is bringing that. Actually, no hard destructor on the side of Fnatic. Something to point out here.
That is very interesting.
They're leaning heavily into the fragging. And you know what? Yeah, they made as well. Because the way that these rounds have been playing out, Nora gets aggressive, they get a couple kills, Fnatic get refrags. It's the sort of situation. It is why we saw Nora ban Nomad. Because they really wanted to have the freedom on defense to just, hey, push you. It is going to be interesting. Border without a hard destructor can be very difficult. Looks like the ADS might have caught that grenade, so good job there to Papilia. Yeah, it will catch the grenades. It will clear out a few other things from the lifeline. So much utility being eaten up here by Papilia's roam inside of CCTV, alongside, I believe it was the Valkyrie of Yoshingo.
And Yoshingo had fallen to a frag grenade from Magnet in a very similar position. And you got to imagine that with this round, whoever gets the opening frag will be in excellent position to just ride out the remainder of the time on the clock, which is going to be Lusty. Taking out Raisel, a bit of a misplay there from the Mute, and a great read from Lusty to be able to get what ended up being quite a long-range kill. It's going to put Nora-Rengo in a position where they might have to see some bodies rotate out of the site. For the time being, though, Nora-Rengo is going to hold on and keep a pretty good grasp on monitors.
Mariu just fell out of offices, which means he's coming to stack up on Army to support his teammate. And it seems like Nora is holding firm on CCTV. They've wasted so much time here. Virtue's going for the entry, though. He sees the Valkyrie and lands the shot. Beautiful gunplay there from Virtue. Huge pressure on that team, but oh, there you go! Fnatic put themselves in a decisive lead thanks to Virtue's excellent gunplay, but here comes the run out from Papilia. And he's going to take down Aces. Going for a second, but can't find it. Will make it back to the site, though. Not unscathed, but certainly unpunished. Virtue, though, another kill for himself. That's 3 in this round. And Rizraz, the final kill. Map 1 goes to Fnatic.
And with that kill on the Rizraz as well, Virtue ends the day with 21 kills on that map. One shy of tying Rampy's record for the most kills in a singular map of professional Rainbow Six history. 21-2-7, the story of the day. You can borrow the term from a variety of other games, but the hard carry for Fnatic in Virtue will prove to be a significant difference maker. But to me, the greater story is not about Fnatic. It's about Nora-Rengo.
Yeah.
A lot of people came in and suspected that without Waka on the team, that there would be a weakness that Nora-Rengo would see and they would struggle mightily. Now, this was their map, so it stands to reason that they would be as competitive as they were, but still, they push Fnatic, a team that a lot of people had riding really high coming into this actual map, this matchup. They push them to the very final round. That's a huge boon for Nora-Rengo, and we'll see what happens on Clubhouse and possibly even Consulate with the way that both of these teams have been playing.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw from that first map, from history, you want to say, okay, it's going to turn into Fnatic getting a 2-0, because that's usually what you see with these two squads. When they go against each other, it tends to go that way. And if you look further back, I mean, the last time these teams played on Clubhouse, which is the next map for the series, was, well, pretty long time ago. It was Six Masters 2018, but Fnatic managed to win that one pretty handily. Only one round going the way of Nora. So you look at this and you think maybe this is just going to be the 2-0 for Fnatic. They managed to take that map number 1. They look strong. They did have to go all the way, but at the same time, momentum is such a huge factor here. So it's something definitely to question if you're a fan of Nora, to really be concerned about. Will Nora be able to recover mentally? Will they be able to bring themselves into this map number 2 and get us to map number 3, which if we do get there, will be Consulate.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this in the Six Invitational, right? The very first map on Bank went 8-6. Everybody thought, okay, this is going to be a very close contest. I, as a caster, thought, all right, this is going to go down to the wire. But then map number 2 ended up being Villa, and it was just an absolute blowout. That was it. There was no fight that Fnatic had left at that point. It really came down to Nora-Rengo, took the wind out of their sails in map number 1 and just continued to go from there on out. Clubhouse is not a map, as you pointed out, that we have seen these two teams play, other than that Six Masters. You have to go back ages to see that as well.
Yeah.
This is a completely different game. This is two completely different teams. We're in completely different metas. Operators didn't even exist at that time.
So far back.
And it's going to be fascinating to see the way that these teams play this. It's Fnatic's map. You go into it, you have to imagine that there's a reason why they picked this map over any other. We have seen teams get beaten in the map ban phase before. There have been teams that have picked maps that we think, oh, they're obviously very confident on, but it turns out that they weren't actually the best on. We're going to see exactly how this falls, because the first map was exciting. I suspect that the second map is going to be as well. But while the players are taking a break, we have the analysts to give you a breakdown on what just happened in map number 1.
What an absolutely insane game. That was only map number 1 of our very first series of the day, of the entire tournament, gentlemen. That came down to an 8-7. I have to say, I thought it was going to be close, but not this close. CCTV every single time, held so perfectly by Nora-Rengo, something that they always do. The Valkyrie, so much work. And Virtue, just what an amazing player.
It's pretty nuts when you're 1 kill away from tying a world record on the first match of the day.
And I mean, we're talking about Nora-Rengo and Fnatic. We know that that's going to give us a show. And that very well delivered. And like the guys were saying on the cast, you know, we were treated to some very dominant defensive rounds. And then as soon as the stakes really tripled and got to that next level, we were in overtime, it was all attack wins.
I mean, we were so excited to see the castle ban, right?
Yeah, and you can see it even...
Sorry, the Thatcher ban.
Yeah, the Thatcher ban.
You can see what you guys were just talking about in our bit-round recap, something that used to exist in the game way back when. But you can see most of the rounds started off very well for the defense. Only 1 round of attack for Nora-Rengo on their side. Same thing for Fnatic, and then we went into overtime, and that's where that pattern continued.
And you know what the actual irony about this is? Most people would say, well, this... clearly a defensive-sided game. So with Nora-Rengo getting 2 rounds of defense, they're going to be in the advantage. But the funny thing is, when it came into overtime, Nora-Rengo decided, look, in our defenses, we only dropped 1, and that was on Armory, so let's go to Vents instead as our primary site. Fnatic had the same thing. And when it came down to, you know, the final round of overtime and Nora-Rengo couldn't go back to Vents, they had to go to Armory, and Fnatic already had an experience with a successful attack onto that objective.
I want to say the Nomad ban probably surprised Fnatic a little bit with the aggressiveness coming out from Nora, because going into a Thatcher ban, Like, you have a plan. You just need to win more defenses than they do. That's the only game plan there, right? You don't need to be good at playing attack without a Thatcher. You just need to be slightly better than them. But when it then comes to a 5-1 on both sides, then it's rough to start the overtime on attack.
All right, so this is in general. Any specific rounds you guys really wanted to highlight in some of the plays that happened through them?
Well, for the one part, you could just say, look, let's go and watch one of Virtue's 4Ks or what have you. But actually, I think that the real nitty-gritty of this is when we come in and actually have a look at how some of these attacking rounds were accomplished. There was a particularly good round, one of Nora-Rengo's early attacking wins that would be great to have a look at.
Yeah, so I think we're going to take a look at that just now. So, talk us through it.
So basically here we've got a position where Nora-Rengo have flushed out the 2 players from Archives and they want to execute onto that site, but they're worried about this retake. It's something that both Fnatic and Nora-Rengo have been doing a lot of, so they're starting to cut off some rotations and they get some picks here, but the real clincher here that I want to hammer on is the Capitao smoke bolt and the way that they place that in this Archives doorway right here. It's up high so that all of the Nora-Rengo players can see the Fnatic players' feet as they run through, and that's how they get the last 2 frags.
This is one of the things with Capitao smokes that we don't see used that much yet, but you can do the same in, for example, a hatch, right? Where you shoot it into the side of a hatch and you can mask your entire drop. That can be done in vents as well. The whole mechanic of you being able to bloom that smoke in the middle of a room is very important.
And this, to me, really continues that storyline that we were saying about how strong Capitao is. This isn't even a component of the recent buff that he's had.
No, he's always
had. That he's had forever.
I mean, how many times have we seen this where, well, when you're using your asphyxiating bolts, you just bounce it over surfaces. And it's happened a couple times during this match when Fnatic, specifically with Capitao, were trying to enter and execute onto CCTV, and they would bounce the crossbow bolt to make sure nobody, specifically that Valkyrie, can walk out of the balcony and get aggressive against them on their take into Armory. It is a small technicality, but these are these sorts of plays that divide your amateur teams from the best in the world.
Hey, to me, honestly, the difference here between these 2 teams, both played very aggressively in this game, but in terms of the attack wins, and that's what we need to talk about, because it's the attack wins that were making the difference between a win or a loss on the map. When it came to Nora's attack wins, for the most part, it was like we just saw. It was there's a very good strategic element, and they're playing very methodically, which is funny because that's not quite what we'd expect from Nora. Whereas on the flip side, when Fnatic were winning their attacks, there was one thing that was happening. It was Virtue. And he was happening everywhere.
I was a bit sad to see Fnatic just let Nora play that aggressive instead of spending a minute extra outside, and then, like, we know that Virtue and Magnet, for example, can clutch out in the tight seconds of the round, but I don't see why they were pushing up on the balcony every single time, and it was detriment to them.
Yeah, and now the big question is, can Nora-Rengo bring themselves back in terms of morale? And they had that very same question at Invitational.
It's a great point. Look, Nora-Rengo did... at the Invitational, as you mentioned, when they were against Empire, they won the first map, and then things started to slip away from them. But Nora-Rengo are a very energetic team. I think that they can move on forward. The big question for me about map number 2 is its Clubhouse. In all of Nora-Rengo's recent best of 3s, which is quite a lot, you know, we had APAC Finals, we had Invitational, they haven't played Clubhouse once. So it's a huge dark horse, whereas Fnatic, their 2 recent times that they've played it, they've won it. So on the one hand, we have the safe bet of Fnatic, where we know that they play it, we know that there are VODs on it for Nora to study, but on the flip side of Nora, it's, well, are they any good at it at all? Have they been practicing it? If they have, Fnatic won't have anything to go on at all.
And the aggressive defense plays on Clubhouse go south a lot quicker than they do on Border. You don't have the same amount of space to move with or work with. And if you're stuck at something like CCTV or Cash Story with a Capitao pushing you out of that site, you can't really play aggro because there's no way for you to get back again.
That's where I want to lead you. Operator bans. Is it going to be Capitao Maverick, as we're probably expecting?
Well,
I just saw Thatcher, so I don't know him anymore.
The thing that was the most, in my opinion, other than the Capitao, the most impactful operator in that map was a Valkyrie. Just the way that enabled these kind of aggressive plays, but it's just not going to have the same impact on Clubhouse. And I personally think that you need to be more worried about something like a Maestro, just the way that you can utilize that. And from Fnatic's side, you know, we've seen them use a lot of good Maestro, a lot of good Mira. We know, I think you could safely bet right now that Nora-Rengo is going to ban Echo. So we can assume that that's done and dusted. Then it comes to a question of Maestro and Mira. Will we see both of them? Will we see only one of them? And which one will Fnatic ban, and how will they decide to modify kind of the defensive operator landscape?
We could even see them go as far as to ban Jaeger. I think both the double nades and Capitao fire arrows now.
Terrifying.
Yeah, you basically can't play on half
The
the
starting,
sides all of a sudden.
that's the thing. The starting side is going to be very important for this one because if you want to play that tactically into it, then yeah, Jaegers definitely have a major effect if it's removed.
But then you got to win your own defenses when you get
Yeah, and that's kind of hard, especially since like Nora-Rengo as a team, they're a team that wants to play mobile.
Yes.
They ban the Nomad so that they can play mobile. If you ban the Jaeger, you're trying to counter a playstyle where people play in a specific position, and that's not the way that we typically see Nora-Rengo play. So while it's an interesting idea, I don't expect we'll see it from Fnatic in this case, but the Capitao on its own, being able to bypass those ADSs, that'll be hugely impactful on its own.
Yeah, there's a lot really to try and dive into, but our theory crafting can only go so far, gentlemen. It's time to actually put everything into motion. So, Kix, Intero, and everybody else, please get ready. It's map number 2, Clubhouse, Nora-Rengo versus Fnatic, and Fnatic are leading 1-0.
Thank you very much. We're going to tread new territory here in this second map, as was pointed out by our analysts. Clubhouse is not a map that Nora-Rengo plays, period.
They just don't.
You go back all the way to 7 months ago, and there are 0 official matches that Nora-Rengo have played in APAC Pro League, be it against their inter-regional competition in Australia, Korea, or in Southeast Asia, or if you go back to the Japanese Pro League as well. This also includes all of their play in the group stages of the 6 Invitational. It also includes their play in Rio and the actual quarters and semis of the 6 Invitational. So the real question that we are going to have an answer to, have Nora-Rengo been preparing a map that they always ban, and they let it through? There's a reason why. Did they get beaten in the ban phase? Or do they have something up their sleeve to possibly get towards Fnatic on? That's going to be the real question.
So it looks like Son was right about the Maverick ban. There's the Mira ban, the one that was being speculated on the analyst desk about. Now it's likely that this will be Echo, as we've discussed. It just seems like Nora doesn't like dealing with an Echo, and there it is. The Nomad as well, still banned for Nora. They have their predetermined bans. They're sticking to them, and there's not going to be much room for negotiation there. Now, this ban phase playing out the way that it does, that's quite interesting. For Nora, again, it's more of the same. It's the same exact bans they had last match. Here, the Mira's being banned again for Fnatic, but instead of a Thatcher, they get rid of a Maverick. Clearly, they did not like what they saw on the side of Meryu with that Maverick. Now, what's interesting is there might be movement on who's playing what on the attacking front of Nora now that it's Thatcher that's available instead of your Maverick. Because Maverick is, apart from being a substitute for Thatcher and also kind of a hard destructor, he is also at the same time a bit of a fragging op. If he's not doing his job, he can frag outside of that. He's a 3-speed, got a great gun. Thatcher is, he hard falls into support. So you're gonna have to move your roles a little bit around if you are Nora. Now, of course, they're gonna be comfortable with that, of course. Thatcher's nothing new, and I'm sure they'll be fine with it. But it does configure this clock a little bit differently if you're Fnatic. What you're gonna be dealing with is slightly different in all likelihood. However, that's for the next half. Here and now, we have Meryu and the rest of his team, Nora, starting on defense, which means they are going to go to cash first things first.
There's this juggling that happens when you see a Clubhouse match, whether you're going to go upstairs to CCTV Cash, whether you're going to go over to Gym Master, or whether you're going to go downstairs into church. There's a lot of different variables that you have.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that makes Clubhouse such an interesting map to watch. And frankly, fun to cast as well. There's a lot of variances that go in. Overall, a great map just for a lot of teams to be able to show whether they're good at map control, whether they're good at roaming, how well they can manage the clock, how well their soft and hard destruction are. There's a lot of things that go into this map, and obviously for the good teams, they are able to make great use of that. Nora-Rengo will find themselves playing Clubhouse for the very first time in eternity. And while we've seen Fnatic play it before, and Nora-Rengo can obviously counter-strat, the real question is going to be, if you're not comfortable, if you're not confident playing this a lot, how much does that go into your ability to go up against a team that is?
That's a good question. And I mean, I have to hope that Nora have practiced this map, with just, yeah, no official matches, but they've been practicing it a lot on the side. Maybe it's their secret map that they just haven't been showing anyone, that they're really, truly good at. If you're a Nora fan, that's, I'm sure, what's running through your mind right now, because, again, the lack of experience here could be testing. Yoshingo, though, very aggressive play there under Virtue. Some bad coverage from Lusty, and that's going to open things up for Nora, give them a huge advantage. Nade's taken off the board there. Papilla's even tried to double down and peek the same window from B. This is very dangerous, what we're seeing from the defense, but it could work out. And, well, I mean, has worked out so far, thanks to that kill that Yoshingo got.
Worth noting that Mario wasn't in a position to possibly ban a trick. He was over looking towards construction side when the wall went off inside of CCTV, so there wasn't really much of an investment from Nora-Rengo to possibly keep that wall intact. It's going to be free for Fnatic, in which they're going to run dual hard breachers, which is very normal for Clubhouse. You don't really see it on Border, but that's okay. You're going to see it quite a bit here on Clubhouse. And, well, I mean, with the Maverick band, he's a very strong operator, especially with the way that he's able to carve out those reinforcements and turn them into soft walls, as you can see on the CCTV and gym walls from time to time.
Well, that wall being opened up, I mean, there's still plenty of time for Fnatic. They're down a man. They don't have a whole lot of control. Overall, it doesn't seem like there's a clear understanding of what the strategy is for Fnatic, and that's been the problem on their attacks a number of times. They're using the upside down repel. It's really hard to counter as a defender, and you can see that Nora's not actually going to try. They're falling off of Garage entirely. You've got Papilla, I believe, playing by Oil Pit downstairs, so he's in a late flank position. But other than that, there's no Garage hold here from Nora. So 3 anchors sitting on site, Mario playing by the Master, and just 25 seconds here. Mario's going to start bringing it back to site, and Fnatic are really tried for time in this moment. They don't have anyone in a position to actually start hitting the site. The fuse is pretty far. He has to go through tons of barbed wire. Aces is doing his best. He's going to die to Papilla. I don't think the plant's going to happen here, which means it's going to be on frags. Magni will take down Yoshingo. So it's not all over here for Fnatic as they try to fight back. Lusty gets that diffuser, but he will die as well, and this is a pretty easy lockout for Nora. Enough said. I mean, not a whole lot to be shown there on the side of Fnatic. Great start if you're Nora-Rengo, and good job.
And a lot of that fell to pieces in that very first round. A bit of sloppiness from Fnatic, dare I say, in the way that they were able to push on in and take control of the site. They never really got it. Magnet got an impactless kill that came in the dying seconds of the round, but it was Nora-Rengo who just seemed to beat them to the punch, and the focus of Nora-Rengo was very simple. Throw goo mines into the areas in which we know that Fnatic will come in, and the moment that we hear it go off, push it.
Yeah.
Got them 3 kills because of that. 3 of the 5 kills coming from that strategy alone, and it really does pay dividends when you have a Legion that can stay alive till the very end. So take note, teams that are looking at the way that you can play CCTV and Cash, and take note of how you can use him generally as an operator. He is a massive nuisance for teams that are not prepared to be able to take care of him, and even with a Thatcher on the board, that EMP can possibly clear out those gadgets. Obviously wasn't effective nor utilized in that particular way. All that said, Nora-Rengo will forego the Legion for round number 2, and Yoshingo will instead be on an alibi. Now, we've seen these defenses that happen upstairs over on the gym and bedroom side, which is the site in which Nora-Rengo will be defending. And what happens? Well, you have the alibi inside of CCTV and upstairs on the rafters of Garage. This is something that G2 did quite prominently at the Invitational, and it's something that it appears that Nora-Rengo is going to do as well.
Cantor-Ketty really nailing that alibi. We'll see if Shingo is able to do the same here on this map. You can see some pretty incredible stuff played correctly. I mean, the true virtue of alibi is not necessarily her gadget as much as it is her kit. And by that I mean her weapon, the fact that she has a shotgun as a secondary, and impacts and is a 3-speed. And you really can't go wrong if you're going for a roam, if you just want fragging power. The Prisma can at times give you a small advantage if you're able to use it correctly. It definitely can be helpful, even though it's not an amazingly useful piece of utility. Now it's going to be taken out here early on. Looks like it's a good job there from Fnatic to take down that Prisma without, I don't believe, being detected. Though it's possible they did. Either way, they're clearing clearly into Cash server. That's the main focus here. And Mario's going to take down Magnet on a run out from Strip Club. Interesting run out, far from the actual site. And wow, on the roof. Beautiful shot there from Mario. Really got to hand it to him. And great job to Nora. putting themselves in a position where they might be able to put themselves at a 2-0 lead early on here.
There's going to be the focus inside of Cash as well. Looks like the impact from Yoshingo will work, but it's going to stop some of those X-Karos from going off. Won't do much else. Virtue will be able to collect the kill that he intended to grab inside of Cash. And that'll push Fnatic ever forward. 90 seconds to take control of Cash, and all you've really lost is Thatcher. I mean, Thatcher is obviously an incredibly strong operator, but that's not terrible. Especially with how aggressive you saw Nora-Rengo contesting it. A lot of teams would have just simply fallen off. You walk away with a kill on Nora-Rengo. I still like the way that they are positioned. I would much rather lose Yoshingo's alibi than the Thatcher of Magnet, but for the time being, you now see that construction is also completely free, and Fnatic can start to push in around the rest of the site.
That's definitely a comfortable position if you're Nora. This rotation is actually going to work probably for Fnatic in the long run. Well, still some players of Nora sitting inside of office, though they will fall back as I say that. Papilia's playing the long angle from the hallway, and he's doing his best to do some damage here. But look at this. Crossfire established now, thanks to Rizraz pushing his way into offices. And Nora finding themselves in a very tricky spot. And Jacuzzi wall is going to be opened up in just a moment. As you can see, Papilia take it down. Ramu's going to get the refrag. C4 into offices to try and go for a rotation, but he's caught in that rotation. Not ideal, that's for sure, if you're Nora. Putting you in a 2 versus 3, Fnatic have a good array set up here all around this site. This C4, run out from Raysil is going to not net any kills. It was just a distraction. Though Mariu is fragging out, he'll finally be shut down. It's just Raysil in a 1 versus 2. He only has to delay for a few seconds, and the C4 will not land. The prone angle, though, will. Lusty goes down. It's just Virtue. He could land the shots, but he's pressed for time, and he's going to have to go for a plant. It looks like this might be the play. Stuck on 0-0-0, though. He cannot possibly win it. And there you go. A clutch from Raysil. A beautiful round. 2 for him. But playing it off of time, well done.
A lot of that round was won and lost in the final 20 seconds. I hope it conveys at home how loud it is here. Being in this building with the large ceilings, the sound carries very well, and it's deceptively loud for how few people sometimes are making noise. But in that particular instance, it was almost deafening in here for Nora-Rengo. And the way that the fans are backing up this team obviously made a wealth of fans after their play at the Invitational, and they've so far lived up to expectations, I would say. They fell short on Border, sure, but it came down to the wire, and now find themselves up 2-0 on Clubhouse. The point I was trying to make prior to the chance breaking out, Michael, was that a lot of that round was simply won and lost in the final 20 seconds. When Lusty went in for the plant, you relied on Virtue to be able to cut down Raysil, and Raysil made the right play. He caught Lusty in a position where nobody could see Raysil, and then Virtue had 7 seconds to grab that diffuser and possibly go frag chasing or go for a plant. Very difficult situation to find yourself in, and Raysil played that exceptionally well, and I think that's a big part of why we just saw yet another round go in favor of Nora-Rengo, though it was much closer than round number 1. The site that teams usually start Clubhouse on is now going to be the scene for round number 3, as we will go down to Church and Armory, and Nora-Rengo so far undefeated on defense. This has been a defensive series so far, as we've only seen of the original 12 rounds of map number 1. It was a 10-2 split for the defense. Obviously, things changed with the attackers winning every single round on overtime, but man, talk about the defense doing well. Ramu a bit of celebration as he will bid Rizraz farewell for the remainder of round number 3. What a run out that is, and oh, not a run out, a shot through the door.
Yeah, you don't see those often, but that's Ramu winning the lottery a little bit there. Great timing, though. You can see he timed it to perfection, probably watching the clock. Majority of the early stage of that round, pardon me. And, well, managed to get a kill out of it. That's good game sense there from the Pulse of Ramu. And Riz, I guess, well, he'll be sitting on the bench for this round. Fnatic clearing out the roamers, though, to great effect. And they have, I think, been successful in that endeavor, as it looks like, yeah, all of the Nora players are playing in the basement right this minute. So as soon as Fnatic realize that, they will start on their attack downstairs. Magnet setting himself up on the main stairs, and we've got counter and holes being established by Nora right this second. But a lot of soft destruction here for Fnatic thanks to this Buck, and plenty of hard destruction as well as a Thatcher. Means that it's going to be, I think, achievable for Fnatic to pick this site apart. Electroclaw juggling seems to be the name of the game here for Mario, but he actually still has one. So great job there, keeping one Electroclaw in hand for an emergency.
Yeah, the way that you can play on those boxes, you can retrieve the Electroclaw. And I mean, the problem with the EMP, if you're playing as a Thatcher, is that you can see it coming. It has that blue glow around it, and because of that, you are able to rip the claw off very quickly and essentially keep your utility from being squandered in that particular instance. So with Fnatic right now, they're quite spread out all over the map. You see Virtue and Lusty are on basically opposite ends of the map. Magnet is not too far off either, as the last of his EMPs will go down inside of the stock hatch down towards blue, and Virtue will throw a throwable of his own on it, and it'll grab Yoshingo, and the very first kill will go in favor of Fnatic on this one. Bear in mind that Rizraz had fallen earlier. Lusty will find kill number 2 of the latter half of this round, and now Maryu falls as well.
But here's the thing, no Thatcher EMPs as far as I can tell, and because there are no EMPs, it's going to be hard to get this wall open, but it looks like it might actually still happen, yes indeed. Ramu's trying to get an aggressive play, but he's not able to get the shot just yet. Goes for a second angle though, and he will. Though Fnatic win it out in pure frags alone. Excellent use of the hard destruction and EMPs, as well as the throwables. That grenade from Virtue opening up blue, just across the board. A nice attack from Fnatic, and the first round they managed to take on this map.
Ramu was in good position there to greet anybody on the other side of that exothermic charge that had opened up the wall, but the problem is that you're essentially trapped. Once you get that kill, there's going to be a whole whack of Fnatic players that are going to know your exact location, and they will be ready to catch you. Should you even make it out of church, which wasn't the case in Ramu's position. He ends up being the one involved in the very first kill, and then while he survives till the bitter end, getting kills 1, and then the first kill for his team, and then the last as well for Nora-Rengo. Overall, Fnatic, a good round, and ultimately capitalizing off of some mistakes that were made from Nora-Rengo, who just didn't look very comfortable playing on this site. Especially with the amount of peeking that they did, they took a lot of chances and found a lot of opportunities that possibly could have worked in their favor, but ultimately didn't. Especially that we saw the play of when it was Lusty just marching down the main hallway, taking a body out of Nora-Rengo, who was playing basically in no man's land. Not really an ideal place to find a defender at that particular instance, and not when there's still a minute left to go in the round. So instead of going back down to church, you see that CCTV and Cash has opened up, and Nora-Rengo, having been successful there before, will go back. They're going to bring a very similar lineup, except the smoke that was in the hands of Racer will now be a mute. So that is a bit of a change, because one of the effective strategies that Nora-Rengo had on that site was the moment that you heard a push go through the opening, into the wall, inside of CCTV, you launch one of the toxic canisters down that's not obviously going to be there. You'll likely rely on something else, maybe the Maestro in that position, or possibly a C4. There's, right now, both Maryu and Raisel, highly likely that they might be holding C4s in their hands, and those are 2 anti-plant, pieces of utility that are available for Nora-Rengo.
Maryu right now has been bringing barbed wire. There is 2 impacts on the side of Yoshingo and 1 C4 on the side of Raisel. But yeah, the barbed wire, I think, has been the play for Nora. Remember that first round they defended on Cash when it was just stacked in Garage, and Fnatic came in absolutely torn apart because one player in Oil Pit. The barbed wire seems to be the play right now for Nora.
Maryu was possibly going to go for a run out here and thought better of it, as there's been some what appear to be impact tricking down from Yoshingo inside of Garage. It's very common to see the Hibana go for the wall, the top right corner of the Garage, to be able to open up a line of sight that leads to the top of the rafters. You can cut off or rotate, you can possibly also hold Garage, and it's just that phantom power that exists as well, so to speak, that will essentially drive and charge your attack. But Magnet is gone yet again. Yoshingo will find the very first kill for Nora-Rengo. He's been warming up and firing up as the longer that the series has gone along, his contributions to the team have started to grow immensely.
Now, unfortunate for Magnet, he had used 2 of his EMPs, but that's the 3rd no longer available. And Maryu is also going to take down Aces, which means, well, the wall is open into server, but it's a trap. It's not working out great, and Fnatic losing their gunfights straight up. They have some utility in hand, but look at that. Lusty on low HP. Overall, this is looking like a pretty dire circumstance for Fnatic. Cash just not their site to attack.
No, I don't think that Fnatic have a really great structure to be able to worry about this contesting. Oh, they have a strategy there, but it backfires as Papilia will pop up, take out Virtue. Fnatic finally gets something going, taking out Maryu, but for the time being, it's all Nora-Rengo, as Lusty, very low on HP, will survey the damage that has been done on that CCTV wall. Doesn't hold that diffuser, it's Rizraz who will retrieve it. But still, Nora-Rengo really just need to ride this one out. It's almost unthinkable that Fnatic would be able to take hold of this round and walk away with it, especially with the limited time at their disposal. Were you more prepared with drones and had well stocked with utility? I think that this is definitely doable, but keep in mind, you've still got C4 on the board from Racel. You've still as well got Yoshingo too in a position where he's just going to continue to throw out goo mines, and then you'll allow the rest of Nora-Rengo to dogpile you once Fnatic comes on in, and you got Ramu holding the entry. Rizraz will fall, as will the diffuser, and next in line is Lusty, who's got 2 angles to look at. He knows that there's going to be a Maestro in that position, but I believe we call it cross-body shots, as Yoshingo will walk right on in. He got kill number 1, he'll get kill number 5. Nora-Rengo looking so good so far on Clubhouse. A map that we remind you, they don't play.
Yeah, this definitely seems to be a defensive-sided match outright, as you brought up earlier. You just haven't been seeing very many attacks won here. We saw a couple of them back to back to back in overtime of the last map. But here on Clubhouse, it's seeming to be a pretty lockstep on the side of defense. So we'll see if Fnatic can change things up. They were very comfortable, or seemingly so, when attacking the basement. But that cash attack was lackluster. I mean, well, less than that even. There was very little presence from Fnatic attacking onto Cash, and it just seemed like they were going for the wrong place, the wrong time. Nora are very well set up to hold a garage and server wall take. Seems like Fnatic maybe need to change their strategy a little bit there on that site. Moving on to Jim, though. It's the second time we'll go here, and, well, last time, Nora comfortable here, but not quite as comfortable as Cash. It did come down to a 1 versus 2 for Racel. He managed to win it out in the end thanks to time. Beautiful positioning. And Mariu also contributing quite a lot. He got 2 in that round, and putting frags on the board, putting his team in the advantaged position. It allowed Nora to just fatigue Fnatic and whittle them down. Attrition building up over time meant that once Fnatic was in sight, they didn't have much time, and they didn't have much manpower. They couldn't win the site outright.
The way that Nora-Rengo's been playing, I wouldn't be surprised to see them take yet another chance, possibly going for what could be a spawn kill. Magnet was all on his lonesome, which has proven to be quite problematic for Fnatic in the past.
Yes.
In fact, all of Fnatic have been quite spread out, I would say.
Agreed.
They haven't really looked the most comfortable in pushing together. And even when they do push together, there's been some wires that I think have been crossed. A good example was in the site previously where Lusty was relying on Virtue to be able to protect him while he was vulnerable. Getting the defuse down, Racel played it better. So we've already found that within 45 seconds, Virtue has taken quite a beating, a bit of lumps here, as he's about 45 HP off of being whole. He's positioned over by that CCTV cache wall. He's opened up with the soft destruction that Buck has had at his disposal. And once again, it's going to be an aggressive defense from Yoshingo. Virtue downed and finished off by Mariu. This is a good bit of coordination, who's playing that pixel angle underneath the metal bars on top of red stairs. The problem is that unless you push from that stock stairs, you're not going to be able to get much. There you have him waiting, is going to be Rizraz, but he will miss. As you also see Ramu fall, Yoshingo's still going to sit entrenched inside of Cash, and both teams lose something, but you got to think Fnatic are the worse for wear there.
Yeah, certainly, and it seems to be the story at the beginning of each round that Fnatic is the worst for wear. So Nora are finding the right place to apply pressure each and every one of these rounds. Shingo's still roaming inside of Cash, and he's gonna try an impact trick, but he will be unsuccessful on that Cash wall. Mark's coming out from his enemies, and that's going to result in his death. Good coordination there for Fnatic, and Magnet gets another kill. Wow, beautiful reactionary shot by Rizraz. Papilia goes down. That leaves Nora in the disadvantaged position. However, 2 players on Fnatic are very lit up. And in fact, one of them will be downed before getting a Claymore kill onto Racel. Rizraz has had an excellent round so far. He's on the floor right now, but he's had a good round, and Mariu's going to eat a little bit of damage as he goes for an aggressive play there.
Very difficult to see a way for Nora-Rengo out of this round safely with Mariu, but I mean, this is a site where if you play the hard walls, you don't necessarily have to worry about bullet pen. You can kill an awful lot of time. And Fnatic have a lot more working for them than I think they understand. Magnet just grabbing that diffuser means that with the 30 seconds to go, if Mariu can just shut down the plant and there's inadequate coverage from Fnatic, then this can go in favor of Nora-Rengo quite easily. But I think Mariu's been a little bit spotted out at this point. He gets droned out. He's going to get droned out a second time. There's multiple angles that they'll be looking at him from, and very hard to imagine with an MP7 he'll be able to win much and not much at all. Rizraz will finish things off after getting down, and that Claymore being so pivotal. 3 kills for Rizraz on the round. And that'll be a second now going in favor of Fnatic. A good recovery on a site that had shown itself to be an opportunity for Fnatic, but something that they just couldn't get a full grasp on the last time they went here. Interesting, though, for Nora-Rengo's very final round on defense. Do they go to church, or do they go back to gym and see and hope that it goes better this time?
I mean, I gotta imagine they're gonna go back to gym. And the basement was so much the first real shining light for Fnatic. Basement defense, I don't think is the play for Nora. If they can go back to gym, maybe they can make it work. But it's up to them. Maybe they also try and mix things up. Gym was the one time that Nora managed to win it, a clutch by Racel. So maybe they figure, you know, one time we lost basement, it was just an upset. We'll see, and it looks like it's going to be, yeah, okay, basement. There you go, so prove me wrong. And gonna need some adjustment on the side of Nora for the way that they played this. It was a decent start to that round on the defense from Nora. They delayed for a long time, but they just couldn't turn it into a win.
You consider this a victory for Fnatic if they emerge tied up 3-3
yeah.
through a defense from Nora-Rengo.
Yeah, I certainly consider that a victory. I mean, you got to look at the Clubhouse is one of those maps that is defender-sided. The series has been defender-sided. We talk about it. And if this ends in a 3-3, then yeah, Fnatic are comfortable. If it ends in a 4-2, then I still think Fnatic can bring it back. It might be hard for Fnatic, again, like that mental burden, knowing that you're behind going to a second half, but I don't know, 3-3, Nora in a tricky spot. At least in my mind, based on what we've been seeing so far through this series, yeah.
Double hard breach so effective on this site in particular as well. Yeah. You'd be able to grab all the hatches, you keep your thermite to go down towards that church wall, in which Aces was successful in doing so last time. He stayed alive. An early pick here from Nora-Rengo can really snowball the round in their favor, though, especially if it ends up being on one of those 2 hard breachers. That's going to be the real question, as Rizraz getting droned in through garage, spots a body. It's Yoshingo playing downstairs inside of blue. He was nestled in there before. He got flushed out by a frag grenade that was tossed in from Virtue, who's been playing the buck quite reliably so far. It's garage control as well for Rizraz now, as they're still trying to figure out where the members from Nora-Rengo are playing off-site. Nora-Rengo, like many teams, can keep all 5 of their bodies downstairs inside of the site for church, but it really depends on how they want to play this against Fnatic, because there are teams that will throw one body upstairs and completely puzzle their opponents. It doesn't look like that, though, so the map control is going to be minimal, and it's going to come down to how Fnatic is able to execute onto the site.
And how quickly as well. There are no roamers upstairs, like you said. It's been fully cleared. Fnatic need to gather that information and establish it as a fact, and then lock down the rotation, and then hit the site, do it as quickly as possible. It's taken them half the round to start hitting those drop downs.
I think Nora-Rengo also realized the Kaid wasn't really all that effective. You subbed out the Electric Claws for the Bandit batteries instead.
Yep.
And my suspicion is that Bandit will likely try to actively trick the wall on Church, which can be difficult to do. A lot of teams will just simply open up the top and hope for a nice C4 or an impact to go up through that opening, but for the time being, it really doesn't really look like all that much is happening. You still have the Jaeger playing inside of blue, the hatches have been taken care of by the Hibana, and now Virtue is once again going to be in a contest to possibly deal with this Jaeger of Yoshingo. The EMP will take out the ADSs, and Yoshingo will be running for his dear life as Virtue's grenade will miss, and multiple shots will land on Yoshingo, but not be enough to take him out of the action.
One more EMP, though, and another nade likely to follow it up. Oh, no, not going to happen. Seems that Fnatic have droned out blue and established there's no one there anymore. The rotation there from Yoshingo, definitely wise. He would have died had he stayed. But now you've got 4 players from Nora stacked inside of Church. 2 on the bomb, 2 on the Church wall. And Maryu's trying to active trick this wall. Best of his ability, gas canisters, grenades, all the utility being thrown out. But the Bandit trick is successful. Beautiful play by Maryu. However, he can only get so much. And as Lusty opens the wall, he'll also follow it up with a kill. Nora are falling apart here in this final defensive round in the first half. Hylia and Ramu, now the only 2 lasting alive here for Nora. They're doing their darndest. Ramu's in a great position, but the plant is going down, and he's allowing this to happen. No C4, so he has to go for the run out. He gets one, but can't get another, and Fnatic will get the round. They take that first half in a 3-3 split. But that is definitely, in my mind at least, advantaged to the attackers of Fnatic.
Aussies can take a deep breath because that really looked like it could have been a possible C4 away if the C4 hadn't already been used from the Valkyrie. And you could have had Ramu pop up in that same position that he was playing in as the Pulse before, but with the Valkyrie this time. Good thing that there was coverage from Fnatic there, and that's what happens when you find yourself in a 1v5. Even if you're able to take one down, there's usually a refrag waiting at your doorstep. And yes, given the fact that Clubhouse does tend to stray in favor of the defense, quite lopsidedly so in a lot of matches, this is a victory for Fnatic to emerge tied up 3-3. There's a lot of things that you can really lean into here with the scoreline. Number one, Nora-Rengo, on a map that they are very unfamiliar with, were able to take 3 rounds off of Fnatic, a team that has played Clubhouse on a number of occasions. But Fnatic also finds themselves in a position where they are essentially needing to run uphill, and now the hill tilts the other way. It's a lot easier now for Fnatic for the remainder of this map, or at least it should be. The question is going to be, does Fnatic just simply ride out the trend line on Clubhouse? Because the defense should be winning more rounds than they don't, having a 3-3 split with Nora-Rengo no longer on defense is not a great place for the Japanese team to be in, and it's every opportunity for Fnatic to possibly put this one away in a 2-0.
Okay, so 2 Nitros on the side of Fnatic right now. It seems like they're going to be focusing on just having some semblance of control of cash, but more importantly, maybe some vertical play. Some roamers. We've been seeing this from Fnatic in the past. We saw it on border, just ever so slightly. Evil Eyes placed inside of server in a position to gather information on a potential B plant. Seems like it might just be a bait strategy here from Fnatic. They are not going to be playing, or at least not right this second, Lusty in Garage. It's going to be, I believe, Rizraz, which is quite interesting, on a mute. Don't usually see a mute. No, Aces, pardon me. He's using the FMG9. So this is completely unorthodox here. FMG9 Smoke in Garage, something that just does not happen very often. Smoke, in theory, a good operator to hold that position, but because he's usually run with the shotgun, not often something you see. But here the FMG9, it makes him a little bit more versatile in that position.
I mean, you've also got the Maestro in Lusty's hands. He's going to likely be running the Bailiff as a secondary, so you still have your soft destruction there that Smoke could possibly help with.
And Rizraz as well with the shotgun, which he, no, he is bringing it too, so there you go.
Yes, you do have the shotgun in the hands of the Mute, who's running the usual lineup that you see from a Smoke.
Aces has been down, though, and finished off there by Marius. So, okay.
Not worthwhile.
Experiment failed. Experiment certainly failed. But he did get taken out by the angle from the server wall. So it was not necessarily from Garage that he was felled. However, that still is, that's the responsibility of Aces. And unfortunate that ended up happening if you're an Australian.
I mean, surely you must have known that that was going to happen, though. I mean, it's very commonplace to open up the wall into CCTV. You have the soft wall that separates CCTV from Garage. You know that there's going to be somebody playing inside of Garage. It's not really that weird to have somebody possibly pressure you in that way. It's now going to allow Papilia completely uncontested access to Garage. Magnet takes out Ramu, though, so at least Fnatic will have a counterpunch. Fnatic, Magnet's in another position. Hold your breath. He sees the tracers. He knows he could possibly go for a run out if there's no Claymore on the other side of it. But that's a risky gambit. Do you go for it? You do. And there's no Claymore there whatsoever. He's too slow. Racel, I think, is wise to his moves down below, and Racel will just simply wait. Nora-Rengo are circling this opening, and they know that B is theirs for the taking. One smoke will go off. Yoshingo will watch from farther away as Papilia takes out Magnet. The Valkyrie has found out. The C4 from Rizraz will do nothing. Just waiting to see as Papilia very low on HP. Rizraz falls Virtue as well. Nora-Rengo in great position, and Lusty hesitates. Well, for that round, Nora-Rengo will take it, the very first attack.
Just about the worst possible set of circumstances for Fnatic. Everything went wrong. Absolutely everything. They lose Aces inside a Garage to a very common angle, as you stated, Parker. And then following that, you know, okay, good run out from Magnet. He managed to bring it back. It's huge, massive. None of the C4s land on the plant, so the plant starts going down, and all of the retake potential that was there for Fnatic just fell flat. Great angle play from Nora. Good denial of utility, and excellent attack straight into the site. But honestly, that round comes down to mistakes made by Fnatic, and that's why Nora find themselves in the lead now, 4-3. Great job for them to win that first attack on the cash. seems like we're going to see a double down here by Fnatic. They will go back to Cash. Very comfortable in this site, or so they are screaming at the top of their lungs.
Very curious how that round would have played out had Aces not died early on. I wanted to know what... I mean, you have to suspect that the smoke playing up there was likely going to watch the double wall into CCTV. You were likely going to be able to launch those toxic canisters all the way towards the wall and be able to stop somebody in their possible tracks. I mean, that FMG had to assuredly be a deliberate choice. It was likely not a mistake. He's running it yet again. Yeah. Likely playing that pixel angle because it does have much easier recoil to control than the SMG-11.
I mean, it just seems like something that Aces wants to specifically bring. The FMG is not a bad gun, to be very clear. It is usually just not brought because you have the SAS shotgun, which is considered by many to be the best shotgun. That's the M590A1. Very versatile weapon. Can often kill people in one pump if you're close enough, and it is excellent for site construction. But as we discussed, you got Rizraz on the mute bringing that shotgun, so you don't necessarily have to have two of them. Although that is a very potent combination, many teams will favor having two of them. But when you want to have your smoke playing Garage, yeah, you're going to give him FMG. That, I guess, just makes more sense, but at the same time, it hasn't worked yet. Things need to change there if Fnatic want to have success here in a Cash defense. One thing that will not change is Nora efficiently getting this wall open up thanks to their great use of Capital Firebolts combined with the EMPs and the Thatcher X with Thermic Charge.
Once again,
sorry, Thermite.
How do you get out of this if you're Aces? You're now going to have your one bit of safety, which is the wall to your left, get taken out by an round of XKROS. Still being spotted is this smoke. This is an awful lot of utility to run such a gamble on. And Yoshingo will just continuously harass him on that drone, tagging the smoke every which way. Now see that there's going to be another round of this XKROS opening up the wall as another drone will be dispatched. And Aces is doing an exemplary job of killing time, but still is not probably going to be long for this Earth. As there you go, Aces say goodbye. Yoshingo tosses in a grenade, and that's an awful lot of utility. Both asphyxiating bolts off the board. XKROS off the board. Frag grenade off the board, and you've taken the smoke down. Lusty will counterpunch on Demariu, and Fnatic will find themselves taking down one of the hard destructors. Ramu finds Rizraz, almost loses his life in the process, but he eliminates the mute. And there you have both the SAS operators from Fnatic gone.
That forced rotation from Lusty, and there's only one anchor right now. Virtue is inside of Workshop or Construction. Magnet is downstairs. Magnet is waiting for a C4 from below. It's a beautiful play to make if it will work out, but Nora in a great position here. If they go for a default plan, it might work against them though, because they don't have, oh, they do have. Ramu is downstairs waiting for Magnet, so that engagement is gonna be so important. Ray still going for the plant, Lusty can't deny, but there's the C4. Magnet makes it work, and Ramu still downstairs, unable to get the refrag just yet. Ramu's also on low HP. Billy's gonna get that diffuser and go for a second play, but Magnet, there's two, and Virtue with the run out from Workshop. It's just Yoshingo in a 1 versus 3. He's only got 9 seconds to get those 3 kills. I don't think it can happen. He'll be shut down by Lusty. A beautiful setup there from Fnatic, and they will lock out that round.
Really clean execute that happened from Fnatic to effectively nullify every single thing that we saw out of Nora-Rengo. You basically play from behind. You concede that site as best as you can. You play on, you know, essentially your back foot, but then you lunge forward and then you hope that your strike will land. In this case for Fnatic, it did. Lusty had an extraordinarily good round and needs a lot of praise for that, as he's not always somebody who dominates when it comes to giving praise. He's not exactly somebody on the team who plays flashy, and he's often in roles that are not always the easiest to play, especially when you've got people on this team like Virtue, like Magnet, like Aces, who have done some pretty entertaining things on their own. A massive round from Lusty and good coordination from the rest of the team for Magnet to be able to shut down the plant. And surely somebody from Nora-Rengo had to have known that there was going to be some play below. There's no way they could have surveyed that site and not thought, okay, there's a Valkyrie in play. Okay, there might be a Pulse in play. Okay, there might be somebody down that has a C4. You take out the mute, you know you've got one C4 off the board, but assuredly, you have to know there's another.
It certainly looked like Nora was aware. I mean, they had Ramu downstairs, but he wasn't in a position where he could deny the C4. I believe he was playing in stock, waiting for a push into Lounge. But the thing is, Magnet threw the C4 not from Lounge, but from front door. So he didn't need to go into lounge in order to expose himself. He might have ducked through the doorway, but Ramu wasn't aggressively holding that doorway. Ultimately, that falls on Ramu for not being able to hold that flank and shut down Magnet, going for the C4 to deny the initial plant. Then he lost the fight to Magnet, and then there's another form of denial in the form of Virtue running up from Workshop. Beautiful setup. Really, I think that was textbook from Fnatic. Now we go 4-4. This is a match as close as I think a lot of us were hoping it would be. Maybe not expecting, but hoping it would be.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a massive victory for Nora-Rengo so far with how close it is, even though they gave up all of those rounds on their defense in what could have been a mortal blow to them and their, I guess, fortunes heading through the second half of the map.
Yeah.
They have played much better than I think my expectations were. I think they played a lot better than a lot of the analyst desk's expectations were, and that's what happens, though. I know that people like to make jokes about saving strats, but there are teams who will never, ever play a map and be fully prepared for it to come out at a LAN final, a grand final, etc., and use it when it is most effective. In this case, for Nora-Rengo, it could have been a major difference maker. Had we seen Border go the other way, then they could have ended up taking Fnatic's map away on a map that you wouldn't expect Nora-Rengo to do well on.
So it looks like there's no roamers here for Fnatic, all 5 on site, and Nora have established that. Now they're going to start opening up the drop-downs. This is just very typical basement defense on Clubhouse. You got Lusty in a position to impact trick that Arsenal or Armory drop-down. He's just waiting for the opportunity to do that. Drop-down's starting to get opened up with the bar drop and the stock drop, which have been taken down. Mariu going for Excaros on the Armory drop. Will it be impact tricked? Yes, it will. Good job there to Lusty. He has plenty of prepped holes here. So that's a lot of utility wasted there. There are still 2 sets of Excaros, though, on the side of Mariu. The exothermic charge are what has been used so far, which means Church Wall, less of a problem for Fnatic, but at the same time, you cannot fully out-impact trick the Armory drop.
Nora-Rengo immediately peeled off of the kitchen hatch. The moment that impact trick happened, I think they realized that, hey, this isn't going to really work out well. Now, this is great work from Magnet, too, to keep Fnatic completely protected inside of Church, as you lose a portion of your wall, but it's not going to be all that much.
There were no more EMPs, so you can't really do anything if you're Nora in that situation. Nice kill there from Papilia, though, onto Virtue.
We'll take him out inside of blue, as you can see an asphyxiating bolt there, and Aces is waiting. They might not know that the smoke is playing this effective angle. Ramu will see another toxic canister go out from Aces as Papilia is not looking the right way. And Yoshingo will drop. Aces takes one out amidst the smoke. Oh, huge play! Aces, incredible to take out Papilia and Yoshingo as he'll gun him down. And next to the line of fire is Magnet with a shotgun of his own. Nora-Rengo are falling apart at the seams here as it's all up to Ramu now, trying to out-duel Aces. Magnet will be on his trail, and there you go. Fnatic will take the lead for the first time all game. The Aussies will have an advantage on their map against an opponent who doesn't play it. What a round that was, too, and Aces just going undiscovered. That'll be the difference maker.
You know, Aces individually hasn't been having a fantastic match, or up until that moment right there. What a beautiful round from him. 3 kills overall, and the real story is that he managed to hold on to blue because that was a Moto Door Church Wall blue take. Okay, the Church Wall was denied by Magnet. Great job with the Electro Claw. One of the tricks of that Electro Claw is it's too slow to stop an exothermic charge, but it is not too slow to stop an Excaros from Hampana. So, good job to Magnet. He followed that up with holding onto Moto Door, he got the last frag, but really the star of the show was Aces inside of blue, denying that blue push outright. If that hadn't happened, we might have seen a very different result in that last round. Great job to him. I'm guessing that Nora did not expect Magnet to be playing in the position, or rather, Aces to be playing in the position he was. It was a really odd spot by the oil pit hallway, and because nobody was pushing from oil pit on the side of Nora, they couldn't deny it. That really is, I think, the real difference maker. It's just Nora didn't have anyone push oil pit. Sometimes it just comes down to simple things like that.
They were too focused with Yoshingo above, and then you also had the Capitao not too far off. Papilia playing just at the blue stairs, so... Interestingly, it was a bit of it was too linear, I think. You saw just basically 2 straight lines, and once you concede the hatch inside a kitchen, and once you have all of your utility on the Church Wall basically picked apart from impact grenades that come out from Magnet, well, you're sort of put into a box that it's very difficult for you to find your way out of. There was not enough utility there. You noted that there wasn't an EMP grenade. That's absolutely correct. There was no way to dislodge the Electroclaws that were in play, and because of this, Nora-Rengo had to essentially walk in through the doorways, and that was really all they had working for them. Oftentimes, those doors, they're death traps. You can't really go all that far. You can't engage all that correctly, and the team that's going to peek you, which tends to be defenders, will most often or not walk away with the victory in the fight.
And that's why blue was the focus for Nora, but again, just one lane, allowing Ace's maneuverability. But hey, I mean, it's done now. There's still potential for the comeback. I mean, we're dealing... Ooh, that's unfortunate.
It's only a scratch.
Yeah, getting rid of an Evil Eye. Definitely going to be worth it, I suppose. Which is, I assume, what just happened. Didn't quite see it.
It was.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So an Evil Eye that was put over by the TVs inside of CCTV is gone. That could have possibly been some hard destruction that was taken care of from a zap or two. Question is whether the Electroclaw will be successful here or not.
Did he get the impact?
Oh,
he did.
He got both of them, it looks like.
Beautiful play there from the Kaid with the impact. He gets both of them and still has his Electroclaws to boot. Lusty, wow, so much utility just wasted. And he can hold on to this position, wasting time.
He did lose that wall to his right, though, over by Cash, so Lusty could possibly get pushed, but there's no entry in for Nora-Rengo. It does look like it's just peak holes. And because of this, it'll come on to Ramo, just pushing on in. Lusty falls, but Magnet trades him off. The Valkyrie will head back on in. Maryu has the down. Virtue will take out Lusty. I don't know if that was intended or not.
Probably.
Now Maryu's in a position to tackle any obstacles he finds just inside of construction.
I think it was just, hey, I'll deny them the kill. Make them feel bad. Yeah, it's playing the mind game.
It's a mental game.
Yeah, it's a mental game.
Of course.
He hurts the KDs of the enemy.
Papillia off the board, though, is the Capitao, probably one of the most important plant operators that Nora-Rengo has. So now they're just going to have to plant essentially nude at this point.
Yeah.
They don't have any asphyxiating bolts. They don't have the smokes. That was their only set of smokes as well. Both frag grenades have been used from Yoshingo as well. So they're very utility-starved on Nora-Rengo's side of things. Fnatic might be as well, though we do see Magnet down below with the Nitro Cell, so he could possibly stop any plant. As you're going to have the rest of Nora-Rengo just continue to walk on in. Drone's coming as well, as Virtue will get back to sight. Lusty's the only one off the board for Fnatic. Papillia is the only one off for Nora-Rengo. And now, Nora-Rengo will try to enter through a doorway, but they can't do it. Oh, what a beautiful shot from Ramu onto Virtue. That could be a difference maker as Ramu now finds his third kill. This is going to be huge. Maryu takes down Aces. You have to stop the plant. Oh, Magnet will, but not in time. Oh, he takes out Ramu. The plant will still go down quite successfully, as he's not able to do what he needs to do. Yoshingo primed with the Skeleton Key. He will find the Valkyrie, and the lead that Fnatic had built up over the last round is now gone. We're tied up yet again. What a round from Nora-Rengo on Gym and Bathroom, which will now open up CCTV for Fnatic yet again. But man, this is too tense if you're a fan of Fnatic with how back and forth this match has been.
Wow. So far, we've seen two really close maps. Ramu, technically you could say 3 kills because he did get the down that Virtue denied by team killing. So yeah, Ramu, a 3K in that round, called that. Magnet, the only one contributing on the side of Fnatic. 2 kills for him, 1 with the C4, but it was too late. Imagine if it weren't. Imagine if that C4 had landed just a second earlier. That would have been a Fnatic round. There was not time for Nora to pick up that diffuser and go for another plant. And yet, at the same time, Fnatic probably should not have left themselves so open. I just don't see how it is Nora managed to push through workshop door or construction door and just turn that into kill after kill after kill. A big part of that, I think, just being Ramu. Vaulting the gym window. Again, another thing that should not work in your favor. Beautiful job to Nora. You got to give him credit for salvaging that disaster of a round. We want to give credit where credit's due on the side of Fnatic as well, though. Lusty had a spectacular round. Magnet had a spectacular round. Lusty individually holding on to Cash for so long. Imagine if he had a support player. Imagine if one person was there to help Lusty hold on to that room. We might not have ever seen Nora get past Cash. Not the case. Magnet had a great roam, but these two things did not make a victory.
was a misread from Magnet, and unfortunate too, because he could have possibly denied the plant with that Nitro cell and saved a very final minute. And we obviously have a very different game at that point because, you know, Fnatic find themselves up 6-4, and well, they're on match point, and that's
very different. Yeah,
very, very different. So you go over towards, well, it's going to be yet another gym defense. That is very interesting.
They're really sticking to their guns on this gym here.
They did the same thing with CCTV, right?
Yeah, and
CCTV, they lost, they go back to it.
They win. And the basement, they just won outright, so maybe gym, they lose, they go back to it, and they win. That shield, oh, that is a huge change here for Fnatic. That actually might be enough to change this result outright.
I mean, it's going to keep Lusty from getting jumped at.
That's for
and
sure.
There you go. There's going to be a push onto the wall, but the EMP looks like it will get the Electric Claw, so Lusty will try and get the one over towards red, but this is not as effective as we saw from Lusty last time.
He's definitely
a much better play from Nora-Rengo.
Yeah, but it looks like that's a crouch hold potentially for the attack. So they might be able to get in from the cash stairs side. The grenade here, oh, Yoshingo is going to get the, oh no. Doesn't have any effect. The shield doing great here for Lusty. He's holding the angle. Coming close to death, though he doesn't know it. He's denied a lot of utility and a lot of time to his opponents, and he's going to keep doing that. This shield is such an important difference maker. There's no coordination with the push, but he doesn't have any denial anymore, and he will finally die to Yoshingo. However, he wasted 2 minutes and so much utility on the attacker side.
He absolutely did.
Yeah.
And, you know, now you're going to have to translate the rest of this over towards the site. The thing is that Nora-Rengo's been favoring that construction small office push, and it looks like it's, or admin push, and it's going to happen again. Virtue falls to Mariu, and Nora-Rengo are in very good shape. So even though Fnatic put all of their eggs in one basket, it does appear that Nora-Rengo have an answer to be able to deal with everything else outside of the original hold that you see inside a cache. 40 seconds left. Nora-Rengo has everybody still alive. They'll find yet another kill as now Aces goes down, and Fnatic are so committed with Rizraz up top. Magnet down below. He finds one. He's still got a C4. Rizraz here as well, trying to pick away with the SMG-11. He sees the elbow for just a second, fearing a possible push from the side. Magnet will toss up a C4, finds Papilia. And Fnatic are bailing themselves out of trouble. Rizraz gets one as well. A second push! Oh my goodness, Fnatic Rizraz in particular. He'll save his team an awful lot of trouble, and that's match point in favor of Fnatic.
A 2 versus 5, Rizraz and Magnet, beautiful plays, C4 denial from below from Magnet. He gets one in gym window as he tries to vault in, and then Rizraz in the hallway, just beautiful gunplay on top of his angles. And it seemed like we were gonna have a match point there for Nora, but it's in fact the other way around. As Fnatic put themselves up just one round over their opponent, 6-5. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get OT. I would not in the least be surprised if we get OT at this situation. Beautiful plays here overall. And Fnatic in a great position. I think that's the sort of win on a round level that pushes you into winning on a map level. It's the sort of thing that gives you the confidence you need to take the win outright. And when you're already up one map, well, that'll be it for Nora if they can't win this right here. And the real cherry on top, if you're Fnatic, if you're one of the fans, is the fact that Fnatic get to go to their only undefeated site, and that's basement, for potentially the last round of this match.
And a key part of what we saw when the last time Fnatic went down here was that double shotgun play. Magnet hugging the wall inside a church. You had Aces inside of blue as well. And Aces essentially went completely undetected that whole round. Nora-Rengo will not be making that mistake again. So you have to change things up if you are Fnatic. Also working in their favor, though, was not just Aces playing inside of blue, but also how effectively Fnatic was when it came to denying the hard destruction on the kitchen hatch, denying the hard destruction that came on the church wall. And because of this, Fnatic essentially boxed out Nora-Rengo. If Nora-Rengo can be more successful at applying their hard destruction, as they were to take out Lusty in the previous round, and they were the time before that, then Nora-Rengo have a much greater fighting chance. But ultimately, it was the most lopsided loss for Nora-Rengo on attack.
Yeah.
The last time they had to go down to church. They had no real wherewithal to be able to shut down the members of Fnatic who are stopping their hard destruction, and if Nora-Rengo can't shore up that weakness, then I fear that this round will be over for them as well.
And if this round, then also simultaneously this match and Nora's run at these finals. We'll see if they can make overtime happen. If they make overtime happen, we'll see if they can make map number 3 happen. But it's going to start with some utility juggling upstairs. No roamers here from Fnatic. Playing all downstairs. Typical basement defense. They're juggling the Electro Claws on the drop-downs, trying to delay as much as possible, use some of that utility up. 1 EMP left on Ramu, and 1 exothermic charge on Raysil. 2 Excaros rather for Mario, and there goes the last EMP. So it's a church wall focus here. Will the Electro Claws get it? Will the Impacts get it? Impacts get some. Will they get the others? Oh, just too late there for Magnet. He accidentally fat fingers a prone, and that results in no secondary impact trick.
That could be a huge difference maker as well, because you can't play as well on the wall as you could before. Now, it's not going to really do all that much to be able to get on in, as there goes an exothermic charge, and once again, Fnatic are doing exactly what they did last time, but the big difference is this window that Mariu has now. Magnet's got this opening in the cabinet, so he can possibly see through it, and not too far off is Aces with his own shotgun out, and this is going to be some double trouble, as we called it before. There's only 45 seconds left to work, and Fnatic will just hang on for dear life. There's going to be some flashbangs to try and blind all the members of Fnatic, but they're going to be so effective at close range that doesn't really matter. Aces with a preemptive shot. He's going to catch a drone, waiting for Magnet to possibly see what's going to happen. And Nora-Rengo just don't have anything right now. Magnet will get pushed out from an asphyxiating bolt. Another drone gets thrown on in, and Mario will get the opening kill onto Virtue. Rizraz trades it off inside of blue, but Nora-Rengo over by the church wall. Papilia goes down, and it's all Fnatic now. Lusty with 2 big kills. Yoshingo is there. Rizraz losing the fight to Yoshingo. Aces will need to come on in with 10 seconds left. He's been so clutch in the past. He has the SMG-11 out. He's got it down in his hands. Raysil is still very vulnerable. He'll peel off. But if Aces can go for this clutch, this can be huge. You see both perspectives now as you wait to see who's going to be able to win it. He'll collect his kill as Aces charges back on in through Moto. Very tenderly, but no! Nora-Rengo with the clutch, holding the tight angle. We're not done yet. Overtime is needed. What a massive comeback from a round that looked to almost be out of their grasp. Nora-Rengo will push us into overtime, and these two teams are not done with each other yet.
So, that last round, incredible. It just seemed like there was no way for Nora to bring it back, but who stood up? Who got that win? Yoshingo on the buck. He did 2 key things. He opened up that wall, or it seems maybe Lusty opened up the wall, but Yoshingo turned that into 2 frags and an entry into Arsenal. Right there, Yoshingo salvaged the round, because the key players for Fnatic were the ones inside of Arsenal. They not only shut down the push by Ramu into blue, but they also were shutting down the entire church take by using that hole that Lusty opened up. Everything was going the way of Fnatic because of those players in Arsenal. And Yoshingo just walked into those players, won the fights, and took the round. Great show from the new player on Nora.
That shot from Yoshingo as he vaulted on into the back of Armory and took out Rizraz, who was playing on, I believe it was the Dog. That was absolutely inhuman.
Yeah. It's beautiful play overall from Nora, and Yoshingo individually. Gotta give him credit for that. So, Yoshingo proving already that he is a good addition to this team. So, overtime, map number 2. Fnatic has taken map number 1. The question now becomes, are we seeing a map number 3? If we do get to it, it will be Consulate. If not, well, that's the end of the run for Nora.
It's crazy how Nora-Rengo was able to triumph through that, though, given how many things were working in favor of Fnatic. They were stalling out Nora-Rengo at the bottom of the main stairs. They were in dire straits. It didn't really look like they were going to be able to do too much because they didn't have real successful entry into Church at all. They had to go over on the Armory/Arsenal side of things, and because of this, it was very easy for Fnatic to possibly hold that, but there was no coverage, and like you said, Yoshingo, what a performance in that round in particular.
Opening up some angles here early on, just trying to cut off the rotation on the main stairs. It's a good angle to have. Lots of aggressive ways to clear the roamers on this map more efficiently and then lock them out. See Nora doing their best here. Fnatic going to be holding, again, all 5 players downstairs. Probably the right call.
With this site, yeah, absolutely.
You could say pretty safely that it worked out for them last time, even though they lost it.
Right.
Was a clutch from Yoshingo. Individual gunplay, just standing apart from the rest. So, Fnatic can make this happen this time around as well. The question is, will they be able to win the fights? The strategy is working out well. Ooh, this is interesting. A glass being brought by Papilia. That could completely change the landscape of this engagement. If the church wall is opened up, it could be the doom. But no, it's just an Arsenal take here. Lusty is doing his best to hold this, and he's going to get one onto Yoshingo. Great entry there. Rizraz also takes down Papilia, though, so this strategy not really working out great so far for Nora. The glass hasn't come into great effect as he's dead, and well, okay, that was a nice try from Nora.
It was a very bold strategy, right? You had that you had that 1-2 punch, so to speak, where you had the Buck open up the wall. They realized that it was vulnerable because the last 2 times they'd attacked Church and Armory site or Arsenal site downstairs. You'd never really seen Fnatic open any of it up. Ramu will take out aces, though. The smoke falls, and because of this, Nora-Rengo do still have a fighting chance with the round. They still have a minute left, too. Because of this, even though that Nora-Rengo doesn't have really that much utility outside of hard destruction, well, what are you going to do at this point? Lusty's not able to successfully impact trick that opening, and because of this, you're going to see an opportunity for Nora-Rengo to come down kitchen. Rizraz takes out Mario, though, and Nora-Rengo are in a much worse position. They'll lose the Hibana, and you'll see what Racel can do. He doesn't have any exothermic charges left, so this could be particularly difficult. But all of Nora-Rengo are so committed to just entering through the same way. Ramu's now in. He's in the default plant spot. He's going to be given away by a goo mine, and now Fnatic will turn their attention towards him. You've also got coverage from above on the thermite of Racel. There's only 50 seconds left. Ramu wins a great fight against Rizraz. Pulls out the pistol. He's going to need to do something as he goes for the plant. Racel looking for coverage. Virtue in a position, but nobody knows that this diffuser is going down. The hatch from above is where the thermite is going to be, but there drops the diffuser as now Racel will need to go in, but he falls, and Fnatic will regain their lead. They win the very first round of overtime on a very strange and very bold play from Nora-Rengo that doesn't really work out the way that they had anticipated. That could have gone real bad for Fnatic, but doesn't in this case, and they iron out the issues with their defense, and will now go on to attack and hope to put this one away.
Yeah, I fully admit that I wasn't expecting to see that from Nora. They clearly were reading too much into the fact that a Armory push worked out for them last time in the dying seconds of the round. But again, that wasn't necessarily an Armory push working out as much as it was just Yoshingo having a really excellent round individually. And I don't think you can count on that. So, nice try there. Good job to Lusty. Got to give credit where credit's due. Lusty not only impact tricking the drop down, but also denying a lot of that entry outright by himself. Serious props. Now, in this situation, we're going to have a tactical timeout for Nora, and I think this is the right time for that. As
it's do or die.
It's do or die, exactly. Like, you win here or you don't win at all, and you go home, and that's that.
I like that with the match possibly on the line. Not quite on the line, the exact amount, but still with you find yourself in overtime, you go for broke.
Yeah.
It's very bold of teams to do that.
Definitely bold. That's a good word.
We sit up here in a position where we can break it down, and I think what really worked out was Fnatic were not anticipating that play one bit. But you had both Rizraz and Lusty consistently playing back by the boxes at the end of the Arsenal room, that they were able to watch that area and effectively cut anybody down that decided to push up through there. If Lusty had been a little bit closer, that probably would have gone in favor of Nora-Rengo, because Lusty would have been taken out either by the Buck or the Glaz almost immediately, leaving Rizraz as the only person there to defend against 2 members. And sure, maybe he could have done it, but at the same time, it didn't look like there was enough coverage because Virtue wasn't in play, and Aces and Magnet were both inside of Church.
I gotta be honest, I think the real reason that Armory take did not work out for Nora is one simple thing, and that's the fact that Nora did not try at all to apply vertical pressure to Deep Armory or Arsenal before they attacked into it. So they're like, oh yeah, okay, let's rush through the Armory wall. Hope it works. Without dislodging Lusty first, and it didn't work. Why? Because Lusty's there, he's ready. But here we go. Last round, potentially, for this series. Nora's gonna have to win this one to push us to 7-7, and then we'll see one more try from either team. But Fnatic could potentially lock this out. Important to note, Fnatic's attack onto this site has been kind of hit and miss.
There's a perfect record on the line on this CCTV cache site for Nora-Rengo, so because of this, Fnatic will have to win for the very first time. That is...
It hasn't been, yeah, Fnatic hasn't been doing well attacking this site so far. It feels like whenever Fnatic comes here, it's a little bit clunky. A lot of different things that Fnatic seem to want to do, and they always spread out their manpower and then accomplish none of them.
The one thing is that no matter what happens over this round and the next round, is it's upended that conventional wisdom that whoever gets an early lead between these two teams will take the whole series.
That's true. That's good. I think there's a lot on the line for both of these teams. I think certainly a lot of maturing has gone on for everyone on all of these rosters. So there's something to be said about that. Not in the literal sense, but in the wow, oh, that's a nasty angle. You can see the window there.
Nora-Rengo have been so consistent over the last couple seasons and progressively improving.
Yeah.
It's not a surprise that they are holding as firmly as they are against Fnatic, a team that has also been improving, but I think APAC has caught up to Fnatic in a lot of ways, and definitely APAC needed something to be able to, or Fnatic needed something to be able to outpace the rest of their regional competition. Virtue ended up being that person. Yoshin Go, who I kept thinking his name was Yoshin God, and I think with the way that he played in that one round, it's probably very well deserved.
Yeah.
Yoshingo has found himself in a position where he has to fill a very large role, and I think he's done as good of a job as you could have hoped here. So,
speaking of him, he's looking to try and get a pick or two on the garage wall tank. He's trying to support his teammate of Papilia, who is playing in the rafters, the catwalk of Garage. Very important position, and he might be exposed. Oh, Magnet comes off the angle at the worst possible moment. He would have seen his opponent there, who was crouched and leaning over the top of the railing. Lusty will take down that Jaeger, though, so not all is lost. Another player on that angle from Fnatic, and that's going to give the man count and the advantage of Fnatic.
Yoshingo will try to return back to site as he's inside of construction. Trying to waltz his way on into the A bomb site, but he's just going to play around the door frame for the time being. He's completely invulnerable in that position, unless he gets shot from below. But right now, there isn't much of a dedicated effort from Fnatic on that first floor. You saw one asphyxiating bolt go down from Virtue. He still has some utility left at his disposal. He's still got one firebolt left should he choose to use it. They'll be able to throw out the smokes too, but Fnatic are very worried about this possible ending of their plant. That being in the case of the toxic canisters, that being in the play of the nitro cell. And both, it appears that Virtue and Aces have gotten the call at the garage is clear, but Fnatic are very, very short on time.
Yeah.
Only 20 seconds to go, and this could get very dangerous if they don't know where everybody from Nora-Rengo is. But the guns need to come out, and one will, and Rizraz takes down Mariu. Nora-Rengo will find themselves once again at a disadvantage. They will really have to hope that their plant denial is in perfect form, as Aces will persevere for the time being. Magnet takes out Yoshingo, just looking for the two members of Nora-Rengo as Racel tries to come back to site. Diffuser down, so a clock will be there, but down goes Ramu, and it's all on Racel's hands in a 1v4, and he takes out Magnet, slaps one body down, but three more to find as he knows the diffuser is down below. Try to find some possible noise, making an awful lot of racket. Gets spotted on a drone as he needs to work his way back up to the site. He has no ability to tussle with any of the remaining members of Fnatic, other than straight gunfights. There's still a markup from the Evil Eye. He's got the Capital in his possible sights, but this is a hard shot to hit. Popping up, Fnatic will shut Racel down, and this grudge match between the two teams will continue on and on and on. APAC's representative tomorrow in the semifinals will be the Australians in Fnatic, as they dispatch their regional foe of Nora-Rengo despite a thrilling series in 2-0 fashion.
Beautiful plays from both teams, you have to say, but a deserved and hard-earned victory from Fnatic. Truly impressive job done by them. I think a higher level of play than we've ever seen from Fnatic before. They seemed so much more on point today than anything I've ever witnessed. And on the side of Nora, definitely seemed like there was a little bit of heartache there. A little bit of something felt missing.
I mean, that first matchup on Border for such a long period of time did not look like it was going to be close.
Nah.
Fnatic steamrolled them 5-1 on the first half, and then we saw that Fnatic started to maybe play some mental gamesmanship with themselves, and they started to lose the plot in their own brain, and because of this, they fell off. And they fell off really hard, and Nora-Rengo was able to seize that momentum and swing it back the other way, in addition to the fact that the defense just tended to look quite better on Border. Nora-Rengo obviously has a whole whack of weaknesses that losing Waka have exposed, and Fnatic were able to take advantage of that. Yoshingo is going to be a great addition to the team, and I think that the sky is the limit for them with him on that roster, especially when you've got people like Mario and Ramu to carry the weight, should you need them to. I think for Nora-Rengo, the big focus for them is going to be continuous improvement. They are indisputably, for the moment, the second best team in APAC, and the only team that is going to give them any run for their money appears to be Fnatic, but that's all said for us. We got Matt waiting on the stage, and we'll give it to him, and he'll be able to talk to Magnet and really go over what happened with Fnatic and how they were able to edge out their competition in Nora-Rengo. Matt?
Entire Kicks, thank you very much. Magnet, congratulations. First one of our quarterfinals is done. Fnatic are in the semi-finals. Commiserations to Nora-Rengo over there, your good friends from the Japanese team. It's always thrilling seeing you teams play each other. How does the win feel right now for you?
Very, very good. We came into this knowing that it was going to be a bittersweet ending for APAC, but also for us, we know each other so well, so both teams can focus on the games further in the competition.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about this one, though. You banned out Thatcher on border. Played a load of defense rounds, started on defense, but when you got to attack, it felt like maybe that had backfired a little bit. Do you feel like it did?
It wasn't really the Thatcher ban that did backfire. It was just the fact that they were playing so aggressive and running out everywhere and peeking everything. So we started to struggle there, but we found our footing and we managed to get the win.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about your play on that second map there. You did as a team, but also yourself. Nice bit of just running the clock down there, just holding back. You're playing very patient play. Tell us how you do that.
Basically, I just have a look and listen to my call-outs about where the enemy's pushing, and that pretty much sets myself up for where I'm going to go later in the round. I do have to say, Virtue is the greatest Jaeger player. You got 21 kills on board. He's insane. Big thanks to him on that map, but definitely teamwork in Clubhouse.
Yeah, 21. For Virtue on border, which we think might be the new record or tied record for most number of kills in a game. I think CGG are working on that. Yeah, so Virtue did that, but you were holding your bit as a team. The whole team have done it. So you can never write off a team like Nora-Rengo, as I say, good friends of yours, but you must have been preparing for what's coming later on too.
Yes, we are definitely preparing for what's coming on later. Not going to speak about that much, but we're ready.
It's always worth asking, but to be honest, I never expect him to tell me anything. Magnet, Fnatic in the semi-finals. Congratulations.